Guys,
What's his face? Server muted.
okay. I think we're live. Harry boy, bear with me just a minute. Just gonna see if it actually is working on stream. We've run it. Oh, there we go. We're live, and we are live. Okay. Hi everybody, my name's Kralik, lead developer of Raisin Bar Redux. Welcome to the RTBR Chapter 1 developer live stream. Today we're going to be going over our Chapter 1, some of the decisions we made, and we're going to be taking questions from the audience about what we've done and what we're doing going forward. So with me I have a number of members from my team. I'm just going to go down the list and let them introduce themselves. So, first of all we have Entity, Barney voice actor.
Hello everybody, my name is Sam Warren. I go by 37E, or most people know me as Entity. I've been voicing Barney for almost 2 years now, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. I also do some of the update videos every now and then, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you, Entity. We also have Ambient Noise, my co-lead, old RTB team lead, and general purpose assistant on board the new team, who might not be able to talk right now. Okay, but that's what he is. We also have Clutronics, playtester, also general purpose helper with a lot of things, actually.
Hello guys. Yeah, I have tested a couple experimental patches, but yeah, that's about it.
Okay, cool. We also have CW, voice of G-Man.
Hey guys, I'm CW3D. I do the G-Man voice, and I'm also going to be doing a little bit of music work and sound design as well.
Awesome. We also have Flash, our new console voice actor.
Hello, I'm Flashius or Flash. I'm gonna be the resident voice actor for the console for the near future.
Awesome. We also have Fodder Stompf, our level designer.
Hello, I'm Forrest Jeroen van Einde. I map, basically.
Cool. We also have Gameboy555, Eric Stark, graphics designer, video editor, and more.
Hello, I'm Eric Stark, also Gameboy555. I made the trailer. I also worked on decals and textures going forward, and that's about it.
Okay, we also have Honza Jan Kropacek. He is another mapper on the team.
Yes, that's me. Hi, I'm Jan Kropacek, and I made some of the maps, and I keep making them. It's fun, good.
Cool. We also have Omi, very new hire, actually just after the demo release. They are going to be our particle editor, though they also appear to be a jack-of-all-trades, multi-talented man.
Hello, I'm Omi. I mostly do particle work for this mod, but I occasionally do other things such as fixing the stuff on our Metro Cops, which had a issue with the stun button.
Cool. We also have Sloth, my other co-lead, sound designer, general jack-of-all-trades again, general support.
Hi everybody, I'm the guy that just made all the weapon sounds, and I'm gonna continue making more sounds and make this game sound great.
Okay, and last but certainly not least, we have Stabard Meat, another playtester on the team.
Hello, my name is Stabard Meat, and I playtested for a couple of months for raising the...
Cool. Okay, so before we get started, I want to give you all a little teaser thing before we get on with this. So, we've made a lot of changes already. Also, hang on a minute, I think the OBS window is being a bit silly. Sorry, bear me a minute, people. I've actually just noticed on the stream. Let me just move this around a bit. I think this will be fixed in a second. Whilst we're here, there we go. That should be sorted now. Yep, sorry, resolution was being a bit weird. Right. Just a little teaser thing. So since the demo release came out, we've done a lot of work already, fixing a lot of things. You'll see this stuff in this stream. We've also just started getting ready on big long-term plans, but there's a change list already here. I'm just going to go through it, and you guys will notice this as we go on. So first of all, we got a lot of feedback regarding the materials for some characters for G-Man console Mossman. We went through these and we changed them a lot to make them look a lot less, I guess, plasticky was the main complaint. We completely redid those. I think they look a lot better. We have improved medkit and suit battery textures, not something that was specifically mentioned, but someone on the team wanted to improve them, and we think they look a lot better, so that's good work by them. Fix and improve Metrocop particles. Again, not a common complaint, but something that Omi fixed up, and you'll see that here. We also have replacing for some Breen graffiti to be the console, something done by Clatronics. I will draw attention to it as we see it in the game. We have a new Combine radio sound done by CW, styled after the cut sounds for the Metrocop radios. We have optimized a lot of files overall. This is not something you'll see, obviously, but it's looking a bit better on the file size already. There was a pretty major crash that happened between Lab 1 and Industrial that a fair number of people reported. This is now fixed. We also added some moving pistons to Industrial. Again, you'll see that when we get there. That seemed to be a focus of a particular Valve community news channel's stream. We also revamped both chargers and their materials, as well as creating improved animations for them. Something that is a little bit difficult to show on stream, but that you'll see during the small patch in about 2 weeks' time. We have mega new background art. I'll be happy to explain this in some detail, maybe at the end. I don't want to get stuck in explaining it now. And a new intro video based off of the one that we had in the trailer, which overall people seem to like, so we thought we'd give that one a go. Last couple of changes now. We have new Combined Soldier, Guard, Cremator and Metrocop footstep sound effects. These are basically just the old ones, but they weren't working before, so these are now fixed. And the Combined Guard and Cremator obviously didn't have any at all. That is also now fixed. Cremator has an added idle sound effect. It only plays sometimes due to the way that the sentences system works, but we will be fixing this fully for a full release. We've improved the cube maps on the pistol models as well because they are very shiny. We've improved Soldier and Elite Soldier materials as well. Again, more feedback about some of the custom stuff. And the last thing was the teleporter interior was a bit dire, and we have completely redone it from scratch, the textures. So I think they look a lot better. We might redo them again with a little bit more detail. It's just we wanted to whip up something a lot better for the stream, and broadly speaking I think it does look a lot better. Okay, we're going to be getting started with the mod now. One of my developers will be reading out questions that you have, and I will then be either answering it or directing it to a member of the team. So feel free to ask any questions in chat, and they will be relayed to us and we will get to them. Otherwise, let's get the show on the road.
Rise and shine, Mr. Freeman.
So something I just forgot to mention, I'm just going to bring attention to real quick. We were made aware of a high definition face map for the G-Man. We've implemented that now. You can also see the improved G-Man materials here. We reduced the fog a lot and basically made it look a little bit more normal, I should say. CW, do you have anything to say about your G-Man impression, about how you practiced that?
Well, it was something that I only really brought that impression to light in like 2017-ish. Before that, it was just me being a little kid just wanting to do voice impressions of certain characters that I really liked. And I ended up coming up with this very lovely impression. But these voice lines in RTBR were recorded like, what, 2 years ago? I plan on redoing them because they sound garbage to me. But yeah, it's like second nature to me at this point, the G-Man voice. So yeah, I'm really glad I maybe would do that for multiple projects, including this.
Very cool.
I didn't see you get on.
So, okay, that was obviously the G-Man intro. For the big Chapter 1 patch, we'd like to expand that a little bit, again with those new lines that CW mentioned, but also expand the scene a little bit, some slightly more interesting visuals. This is the train station. This map has seen a lot of work. It's gone through multiple iterations, this one being more or less the final one, and although we will of course be making changes to the big patch. By final I mean the final big overarching layout. The grand kind of scale version, I should say. Fodder worked extensively on this, little tweaks made by others, but Fodder, would you like to say anything about this map?
Well, it did get scrapped a couple of times, and we had other people working on earlier versions. but a lot of them never got finished. So I ended up redoing it all, a little bit on the brink of the edge. So it's not completely polished. Yeah, but I think it's alright. It came out pretty good, especially a couple of the inside areas are really nicely looking.
Yeah, I reckon so. Real quick, I'm just going to annoy this Metrocops and get him to trigger the new sounds. There you go. Those are the new radio sounds put together by CW. And you can see the particles now work thanks to Omi as well, working consistently. So that's very nice. Okay. Alright. Actually, I think I will have a way to have the YouTube thing on so I can actually see the comments. Bear with me all just 1 minute. I think I'm going to cheat a bit and I'm going to have my phone here and my iPad here. Okay. So, just while we're here, I guess, are there any questions if it want to be read out, CW?
Yep. So we got a question by Jason Campbell. Are there any plans to change how the NPC civilians look to make them look more unique to the mod?
Yes, so we're going to be basing our civilians off of the ones from the E3 one, the ones that that kind of charred corpse is sort of based off of. Regarding Gasmar citizens as well, they will be around the air exchange. We're kind of retconning how the air exchange works so that it's more like it was set up very recently in the last year or so, so that we can kind of have an excuse to have both E3 citizens and air exchange citizens. So both will appear, just in a slightly different way. Yep. Anything else before we get on? No? Okay.
Not at the moment, no.
Cool.
All
Alright
good.
then.
We shall continue.
Let's get on with this then.
We'll both be in trouble.
Okay.
Everyone gets on, but they're always departing, but they never arrive.
Can I read out this question?
Sure thing.
The Cool Cats Productions asks, question, how will the children look in the mod? I assume the child workers.
They'll look pretty similar to how you remember them from the beta, I would have said. Obviously with a little bit of our own flair, as with everything that we've done. But yeah, I said that answers that. They will be in there, in case that's half of the thing of this question. I think I've answered that a couple of times over a couple of streams. We are going to do them. They just kind of weren't ready for the demo, and there's a lot that goes into making those work. So, yeah.
There's another question here. Is it alright if I read that out too?
Sure thing.
Slapport asks, are there going to be some unique vehicle sections? So for the later chapters, I assume.
So we are going to have the airboat and the jeep. We've already got some ideas planned for these, and we've started some initial work on the airboat stuff. The jeep will probably feature mostly in the wasteland. We might do a rendition of the coast, depending on how things pop up. But that's quite far down the line now. So the console model, as I say, has had some tweaked materials, not super viewable through the screen anyway, really. But yeah, as I say, in the mega patch that we're planning to do, there will be unique lines drawn up by Flash. And sorry, I say recorded by Flash, I should say, more specifically. I was going to say, citizens come in with the train, they do not spawn in the train when the train arrives at the platform. That was a misconception that some people had. I just want to address that now.
It's out of the question.
But, yep. A few scripted sequences down here, just add a little bit of extra detail.
There's another question here by Victor. I guess I might ask as well. have you considered adding more fog to the maps?
Yeah, fog has been a pretty major point that a lot of people brought up. That is on the cards. Yep, we'll be looking into kind of adding a little bit more of that kind of environmental ambient detail for the big patch down the road.
I've been proud to call City 17 home. And so, whether you are here
Kind of a big question here as well by Alex Lokinen. What is the quality standard you're going for? Is it going to be a resource-intensive mod, or is it going to, or is it, hold on, or is it not going to push the source engine? I'm not talking about graphics, but more about environment scales.
I think deliberately going out of our way to make the engine suffer is probably not the best idea. For the most part, when it comes to making maps, we're trying to kind of strike this balance between optimization and detail. We had to do a pretty major optimization pass before releasing, and making sure we don't have to do another major optimization pass because we bought something in the mega patch is going to be a pretty major focus during art passing and stuff. We are going to be doing some bigger maps, of course. The Air Exchange is probably a good example, as well as a Wasteland, but for those we're planning to probably separate them out into smaller maps, because then we can actually feed more detail into each individual piece.
Cool. And another question from Gabe Newell himself. Will the citizens have more animations to make them feel more different from retail counterparts?
No. We are only animating things that do not have animations for our needs. So, I can't really give any examples without spoiling future plans too much, to be honest. It's kind of one of those difficult things. All I can say is that there are enemies, creatures, allies in the cut content, for which, of course, no model ever existed. As a result, no animations. But always we will be repurposing animations such as Creator and Combine Guard. The main reason being is just the idea of scope and feasibility. To be honest, character animation takes a while. We should probably only really be character animating the things that really need to be, instead of trying to push our luck with what we can get done in a short space of time. There we go. These new scanners, by the way, as with a lot of creature models in the mod, done by a guy called Andy Dawson. Brilliant contributor to the mod. He's been here for about a week and a half, year and a half even. Funny you should mention that, Mitius. I'm sorry, I've just seen a question. Already fixed by Omi. This will be in the small patch in about 2 weeks, as you can see. Works 100% fine now. APC done by Sapvik. We are going to be modelling more APC variants. You might see them sprinkled about in the mega patch to replace the fact that we only have one APC variant around at the moment. New Metrocop models also on the cards. That's been asked quite a lot, so I just want to address that now. In terms of the design of this map, it's quite difficult to talk about because this map has been worked on by probably about a half dozen people over the last 2 years. People kind of just making little changes here and there. It started off very similar to just sort of retail Terminal Plaza. Sorry, not retail, but the cut content one from the WC map pack. That's pretty much how it appeared at first. We then did a lot of our own changes to make it look a lot more unique and a lot more our own. There's a lot of things I could say about this because this has probably been one of the maps I've worked on the most. I do a lot of level design myself on this team, mostly things around the place, as I have dedicated and very talented level designers handle the large-scale level design work. So I mostly touch things up, but for example these windows, which are a little bit too bright, need a bit of tweaking, but the concept is good. Those were something I added. I've also just tweaked a lot of things like details around the place. It's always a bit hard to talk specifically about this map. There's been a lot of work to it, and we'll be doing more work going forwards for the mega patch to kind of bring things even closer into line. Our new soldier model up there, we'll get a better look at him in the march up ahead, and we'll also hear some of the new improved marching sounds.
Talking about the marching sounds, could you do a little favor and changing it from streaming the window itself into being in the game, so we on the dev team can hear them.
Absolutely. Sorry, people. Give me 1 minute. I'm just going to quickly do that. That's a good point.
Open up YouTube.
There you go, people. Just want to check, is everyone on my team now onto here? It's a quick
Yes.
will be
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Alright, so we'll come up to over here to the new sounds.
Beautiful.
So obviously the soldiers now make the proper marching sound. And the Combine Guard will go as well. Firanor, regarding the stream, that is just the stream. I am at a silky smooth 60 FPS. I have not dropped beneath 60 FPS this entire time myself. In terms of how it operates, we've got people with a variety of systems. I've got a pretty beefy machine, but we've also got people on the team who don't, and who have pretty mid-level to even low-level machines. And whilst there are, again, performance issues in early stages, we spent a lot of time patching those out. Sloth did most of the work here. And those issues are pretty much non-existent now. The game, in terms of resources, does not really require a whole bunch. Again, that's just the stream, I would say. I haven't struggled at all so far in-game. This interior area was actually a unique addition by Honza, who basically was given a prompt of kind of adding this as a callback to old versions of Terminal Plaza. Anything to comment on, Honza?
It was a lot of fun making this building, but I mean, it turned out alright, so I'm kind of happy how it turned out.
Yep, and yeah, yeah, a lot of Terminal Plaza are very recognisable, I should hope, but also a lot of things have been changed, moved about a bit, so it should still be familiar, but also quite new at the same time. A lot of extra details and some new things added. Boys still going down there. Okay. I just know the the console poster even over there. That's actually the second time. If I get another close-up of it, then I will ask Game Boy to comment on it. Oh, actually, let's have a quick look over here, real quick. Or maybe not. No. Right.
Well, there is some console here. Is those changed or?
The yellow ones should
Not
be,
the
but
beta
that one
one.
moves quite quickly. Let me see if we've got another one around here somewhere.
Citizen noted. Failure to cooperate will result in permanent off-world relocation.
Yep, the cold drinks machine, that's new. That's a model by Alexander. Yeah. We will be remodeling the other vending machines as well to bring up to the same standard of quality.
Attention, residents. This block contains potential.
There's a green poster over there, we can talk about that. So this Stalker poster is completely custom, of course. We will be remaking it with our own Stalker, which we already have. We had that quite a long time ago, and our own Gasmar Citizen when he's done. And that'll probably be Game Boy's job, as he did the console poster we'll go over and talk about in a minute. The idea of this one was just like a little extra bit of propaganda, and we're going to be trying to add some extra posters like this that fit in very well with the cut content kind of environment and with the design of everything, but that kind of add that, again, unique little flair that kind of looks different to other mods, I think. Just have all this area around here. By the way, I will be showing a few of the Easter eggs that we have in the mod in this stream. There are a lot of secrets to be found. I'm not going to show all of them because I want there to be some joy of discovery. But we will be showing a fair few of them, as I say. I'm also just going to quickly set the difficulty to easy. Oh, it's already on easy, because then I can just talk at leisure. So, ignoring the crossbar that's in the way, this is the remade Breen poster. This one's obviously quite familiar, but we also have our console in here instead. Game Boy, would you like to talk a little bit about this process?
Yeah, sure. I also forgot to mention I made the ModDB page, for anyone wondering. But going on to the poster, So what I did was I basically got the model that was retextured, placed it in Source Filmmaker, posed it, and then I brought the model into Photoshop, put some filters over it, and some overlays, and also did some texture work. The poster itself is not final by any means. There's more that will be added since we're planning on touching up the the console model itself. Besides that, there will be more custom posters that will be standalone that I'll be making.
Okay. Alright, and as we pass out a terminal, we're now on our way into 3 TVs. Which is, of course, named after the eponymous map. We felt we couldn't have some we felt we couldn't not have some kind of rendition of this. There we go. Some of them appear to be inverted, some of them not. Ignore the fire, it's all good. Generally not a good idea to walk directly onto fire, but this is a remade decal by Clitronics. Would you like to talk a little bit about this?
Well, I just removed his facial hair and changed his suit to match more the console look that we have in the mod. That's basically it.
There you go. So just a little bit of consistency. We've done little details around the mod like this before. In fact, we'll be looking at some of them in Labo 1 and Labo 2. Regarding the console and Mossman, I've just seen a thing here. I'm going to explain this again. I've had to explain it a couple of times, but I don't blame people for asking it, because until you know, you know. We are not going to be doing new head models. Main problem with doing new head models is you then have to remake the VTAs or the facial flexes. Remaking the VTAs and the facial flexes is something that is doable. Certainly, we have someone who can do it, but it takes a very long time. And any scene that those models are already in will have to be completely redone. Because the facial flexes, obviously, if they're different, then they won't carry over from Scene Poser, which means we'll have to redo those scenes that have the face, which have the we'll have to redo those scenes that have the any kind of face posing in them. What we are going to do is some much better retextures of their heads to make them look a lot more unique. We're going to work with that as much as possible whilst we're here. Cremator thumping about. Oh, and it does make idle sounds. There we go.
Yay!
It just only does it sometimes. And again, due to the way it's set up, because we're currently using, graciously, with permission, Sergeant Sacker's cremator code, the sentences.txt is being a little bit clunky right now. So the sounds work, we just need to do a bit more for the mega patch in the code. So, yeah. Go, not having any of it. Another example of that console posting. During patches, we're likely to be moving some of the music around a bit. This is mostly just because we've kind of re-evaluated maybe some of the atmosphere we want to go over some of the tracks. Certainly there were good tracks before, but we feel like we can kind of change up the atmosphere a bit more. This is part that cremator is not having any of it. There we go. Alright. So this map was worked on by a couple of people. Unfortunately, the person who's worked on the most right now is not here with us at the time. He's currently off doing something else, probably work. But a couple of people have worked on this map. So we have the first person who started was GameSmart when he was on the team, and he set some of the initial ideas. And then Egon, was on the team for mapping. He's since rejoined the team, but as general texture work and not for mapping. Then a guy called Woody, Jonah Woodside, worked on this map. He did great work, did a great job on that. We had to go do just some personal things, and then we have Reese, who took this map and completely finished it and fleshed out pretty much everything you see here. Okay. I hope that Komodo isn't following me. But Reese did the majority of the work on this map at the end. He did a great job taking this map from where it had been worked on by a lot of people. Industrial and Free TVs were both maps that people kind of struggled with internally to properly sort out. When we took on Reese, those problems were gone. Reese just sat down, put his head down and got them done. So, great work from Reese. Yeah.
We got a question here from Velsian. I don't know how you say that. Anyway, how do you plan to make Eli's hideout?
So it's an interesting question there. Obviously, we'll be using the concept art and the WC map pack Mac for a bit for inspiration about how it should work and how it can work. Besides that, I can't really say right now. We still need to kind of really seriously look at how that's going to all fit together, and that will be quite a complicated map. You can expect more in the future, of course, for how we're going to handle that, but for now, yeah.
About that beer I owed ya. It's me, Gordon. Barney from Black Mesa. Hell of a job you did there, Gordon. But if you thought Black Mesa...
Sounds familiar.
There we go. So Entity voices Barney. Entity, would you like to talk a bit about this?
Right, yeah, so I also wanted to mention, I forgot to mention earlier, I'm also doing some music rework along with CW, in case you guys are wondering, but yeah, so the first lines I recorded were back in late 2018. Those were for the lab sections of the mod. Over time, throughout the years, I recently recorded this here. I want to mention, just as Kralik mentioned in the Project Beta stream, the intention wasn't to 100%, nail down the whole voice of Barney. I mean, obviously, it's kind of difficult to, emulate Mike Shapiro's original voice. But, what you can do at that point is just focus on having a good delivery. But, one thing I want to mention as well is that I also did some work on emulating some of the cadences that are familiar in past Half-Life 2 lines. So, like, if you played Half-Life 2 over and over again throughout the years, which I'm sure many of you have, you'll find some certain line cadences familiar, and I always loved reenacting those. So some lines you'll probably get some sense of familiarity. But yeah, that's pretty much it, basically. It's great fun voicing Barney. I love Barney. Barney Calhoun. It's a good man. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as Barney's concerned.
Okay. I'm just going to answer a couple of questions real quick because there are a bunch of them. So I'm just going to blast through. Jer, are you guys going to make a combined super soldier on the Hydra? Yes and yes. No more details right now. Well, actually, okay. I'm going to retract that and say maybe and maybe. No more details right now. A Russian name, but I unfortunately can't pronounce. First three letters look like Pab. Do you have plans to AI rework? Not in code, in maps. We are going to mess around a bit more with AI standoffs and such. A lot of that work can be done with entities. We have Cool Cat's production saying, will the Cremator appear as an enemy in Chapter 2? He will appear as an enemy eventually. I'm not going to say just where right now because we're still experimenting with him a bit, game balance wise. How does your process of recreating maps go? Do you use a base? Usually, I give the level designer a WC map pack WC map pack map.
There we go.
There we go. Which also has a script about how that map is designed to go, key vistas and so on, concept art if relevant, and we go from there as a general rule. We are changing up our process a little bit going forwards, but that is broadly speaking how we've done it so far. Okay. Cvox, we use Cvox one and only. We use worker citizens, separate model and all, specifically in industrial. Yes, that is planned. Obviously, drawing up character concept art and then modeling characters take quite a long time, but at some point we will eventually have separate workers for the area. So we'll have Gasmos citizens in Arex, the old worker textures here for citizens who walk about in this area. We'll have stenographers, chasm workers, child workers, borealis workers, and so on. But again, these things take a lot of resources, so they'll kind of just be done when they're done. But they are on the cards, yes. So this map was started. Sorry, CW. Did you see a question I missed?
Yeah, that was a good question actually. What by Alex Lockinin? What does it take to become a level designer for this kind of project? I assume it's more than knowing how to place brushes around, but also setting up scripting and all. Question mark.
Yeah. So all the level designers I have a couple years of experience level designing. Some of them are professionals in the industry themselves. Reese, for example, who worked primarily on 3TVs and industrial, actually works at Gearbox, and this is kind of the level of mapping that we're working with. So obviously, not working on a professional basis, the results vary and change about a little bit, but that's more or less the skill level we're working with. A couple years of experience. Yeah. I just want to talk about this map a little bit. CFT, a previous member of the team, worked on this map in parts. It was then passed to Redonkulus, who enhanced it a bit. And then we ran into that problem again, where some of the really iconic maps kind of presented a lot of difficulty in how we were going to approach them. Reese took this map and again made it his own, pretty much. I'd say at least 3/4 of this map is Reese's work at this point. He's done a stupid amount of work. In fact, all the major vistas pretty much were Reese. He's done great work. One more other thing. We've got another Russian name. I'm sorry. First couple letters look like Timip. Did you follow to the old simple hover2 beta designs? Well, we basically just we're trying to amalgamate a whole bunch, trying to cover as many bases as we can and come up with reasons why this should make sense within our narrative. And the more beta we can do, the better, to be honest. We're coming up on the stenographer's chasm section here now, where you'll see pistons now move. They still need a bit of tweaking. We kind of just wanted to give a go again. He's working for the here we go, and also the mini patch. But as you can see, they now spin, so that is very nice. Very nice little change. You can expect more changes like that in the mega patch. Yeah, that's probably the biggest change that's going to happen to maps in the mini patch, I would have said. Okay, so we're moving into the next area now. That whole chasm area, by the way, done by Reese. Again, Reese handled pretty much all the major vistas in this map in the end. Moving out into the streets here. So again, these citizens will have the worker skin from the beta in their final iterations.
We got a question here from Cvoxulary. Kind of lore question, if you don't mind. Some Vorts are used as living batteries, but some are just janitors. What's their social status? For example, in our mod, we decided no janitors, too much freedom.
We've kind of gone a bit with a mix, so we do have some janitors, but obviously there is a Vorticell in Underground, as anyone who's played will know. It's not really super specific, I guess. It's more just we are trying to cover a couple of bases. But I think the idea of the fact that they'll just as happily use a Vortigant for labor as they will drain their life force into a battery. I think both kind of work really well at indicating the fact that the Combine absolutely see everything as just another resource, and whether that resource is cleaning their floors or powering their facilities, I think is pretty reasonable. Coming out into here. Again, that area back there, great work by Reese. Yeah, I'm sorry, Pab. Unfortunately, I can't read Cyrillic, so I can only work with what my limited English brain can understand. I don't
Just
think...
read Russian, Kralik. It's easy.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, if you want to try reading out the questions.
I mean, if you can read Cyrillic, then by all means, I'll get you to I'll indicate when there's someone with a Cyrillic name, so we can properly answer them.
We're actually still looking for a translator for the mod.
Stop looking at me like that. You waiting for somebody?
This guy has a couple of
outta
scripted
here.
sequences for if you just stand in front of him and annoy him.
He's not pleased. He's a little pissy boy.
He's not at all.
Leave him alone, Kralik.
Walk into his garage. He's not having any of it. Alright, mate. Okay. Cool. So moving down here. Got these lovely grim tunnels. Something else by Rees. Love the lighting in these areas, especially. Some of these displacements need a bit of sewing, but otherwise, very good area. These Zenlight models, actually a new light, a new model, a retexture of the Half-Life source one took a bit better by CFT. We are, however, getting them completely remodeled by Andy. These will hopefully be in the mega patch, assuming they're done in time. As with any model, can never predict exactly how long it's going to take, apart from the fact that a while is usually the correct answer. But we'll see. Might be into the mega patch. You'll see more about that down the road, I hope. Moving on into the factory now. Catronics, would you like to talk about an interesting bug we had with the workers in this factory?
Oh, okay. Well, for some reason, some of the citizens in this map kept T-posing, which meant that they didn't have a certain animation, and we couldn't figure out why, because every time we loaded this map, it appeared to be a different citizen doing it every time. And eventually Kralik thought that we should run an experiment where I should count every time there is a female citizen doing it and every time there is a male citizen doing it, and eventually we figured it out that female citizens don't have all the animations as the male counterparts do. So we had to compromise and remove some of the female citizens from these little animated scenes because they didn't like the animations, basically.
Yep. Some other citizens throughout the map that don't rely on those animations were made to always be female in order to make sure it's not just a male City 17. We've got this scene here. Rees made this scene originally. We wanted to do a bit more with this scene and kind of bring a bit more narrative to it. So we've got these two Metrocops here are preparing to storm in and murder this guy and ruin his day. We might do a bit more of this scene even more going forwards. Certainly we'd like to use this idea. People seem to have a really positive response to this scene in particular, this little added detail. We're going to be using that as a result and maybe trying to add more scenes like that throughout Chapter 1 in the Mega Patch. We've got ourselves a piston here. Piston basement. That one, another thing by Rees. That was actually a special request. He pretty much finished this map and he asked me to play through and just to check everything was there. I did a run through. I noticed that one thing was missing, a piston in the basement, and I asked him to add some moving parts and he did it. Bless Rees, bless him. So great work all round.
Nice.
Absolute madman.
Very much, very nice. We will see citizens with gas masks around the air exchange. Shrigs. So this is where the really bad crash happened before. I'm not going to explain it because it's quite technical. But basically the door was causing it, and we rejigged how it all works. Not that many people had it, and it was actually pretty hard to trigger. But when you did trigger it, it wasn't very good, of course. So again, that's now fixed. and in the mini patch you can expect to see that. So that if that was affecting you, which hopefully it only affected you once and not every time, it will not affect you in the future.
Can't wait to get working on those soundscapes for all these areas. It's so quiet.
CW will of course be doing a pass over soundscapes for the big patch. So a lot of this map was done by someone who used to be on the team named GameSmart. A lot of the tweaking then done by me mostly. Some of the relighting in the initial basement area was done by Redonkulous. There is more relighting planned in it. A couple more details planned to add to that basement area to make it more our own.
Hey Doc, Dr. Kleiner, look who's here.
Blast that little... Where did she get to? Lamar, come out of there!
Doc, someone here to meet you.
What is it, Barney? Another fugitive? You
The
can't
children
keep
will not be
dragging
voice
in every
acted,
string
Chuckles. There's no interactions with them, so I don't think there's any
Goodness.
point.
I thought
Flash, can you read that name that's above
Really?
Velsin and beneath Omi Box?
Gordon Freeman. I had given up hope.
Timur
It is common,
Halilov
isn't it?
asks,
And
will you do
why?
Journey in
Why on
Wasteland
earth
at the
did you bring him
beginning?
here, Barney? If they follow him here, my
There will be
work
a
is
journey in the
ruined.
Wasteland, but it won't be the intro.
It's okay, Doc, relax.
Mostly
So
because
far we haven't set off any
that kind of
alarms,
intro is not really
but we
something
should
I
keep
feel like
moving.
you do it in addition to a G-Man intro,
If you say so,
because it just
but I
involves
really
the player
think this
sitting
is
still
most
for a bit.
unwise. It could jeopardize
So I don't
not
really
only
want to
Gordon's
push that.
mission, but years of my research.
We have a little detail here. These moving images here were previously, of course, from Half-Life 2 shots of Retail Plaza outside the train station. We replaced them with screenshots of our
Barney,
own
they'll
Terminal
be
Plaza.
scouring the city. Are you sure it's worth the risk?
Only some of them though, because the other ones were like animated, weren't they?
Eli.
Yes, the others are actually
Dr.
animated
Mossman
textures.
has
They're
been
not
waiting
actually.
for him.
So these ones use
Oh, and how
scrolling
is that
texture
supposed to
proxies.
work exactly?
These ones are
I'll have to
animated,
call her right
which
away.
unfortunately meant
I'm
we couldn't
sure
really
she'll
touch
think
them.
of something.
But
I
they don't
must
look
say
too out of
it's
place, since a lot of them seem to be
couldn't have
previous
found
unfinished
delivery
versions
directly to
of
Kraken
Half-Life 2
base.
anyway.
It's
So
extremely secure.
Yeah.
Look, Doc, Eli's
Kleiner's
place
model
is a
will
hell
be
of a lot
changed.
closer.
You
I'm not
can
taking
probably
him
expect
to
to see
the
every
city,
character
too.
model change to be kind of
point.
brought more in line
Yes,
with their cut
the
content
sooner you're
models,
suited
and
up,
also
the
to just
better.
inform the
Let's
style of the mod a
brush
bit
the
more.
dust
Every
off the
creature
old
character
outfit,
model
shall we?
will probably be changed at some point, assuming that we, well, can do it. There's obviously a lot of resources that go into that, but if we have our way, that'll be what happens. Just gonna draw some attention to this billboard over here. Of course, we've put our own teleporter here instead of Half-Life 2's, which is pretty. The process was basically put it into Blender, take a wireframe shot, put it on the texture, and then clean it up a lot. This took a good couple of hours. There's a couple of Easter eggs on here that we know about that you can't read, and then there's also this little shot down here. Obviously, Eli Vance is usually there. We've put Captain Vance there instead, so that it kind of like fits in more well. Because obviously, in the cut content storyline, Captain Vance is Alex's dad, not Eli.
I expect you'll be pleased to see this after your hazardous journey. I can't vouch for the carbonation, but still there's a choice of diet or regular.
Knock it off, Doc.
I just thought Gordon might be a bit parched.
You were an odd Doc. Here you go. Get that thing away from me.
I would just like to say that Skeezix's voice actor, our new Kleiner voice actor that we're gonna record lines for pretty soon, I reckon, is absolutely amazing.
Yep.
He sounds exactly like Dr. Kleiner, and I say that with emotion because it is phenomenal.
Dude, it's insane.
It's beautiful. Like when I first heard his voice, in the Discord call, I'm like, is that Harry Robbins?
Slip into your suit now.
Indeed. I'm going to wait for a minute just to talk
It's
about
time to
this.
suit up, Gordon.
Alright, Barney. Then we'll talk about the suit.
Get your suit on, Gordon.
Okay, Barney. So...
Okay.
Anyway, regarding our new Kleiner voice actor, yes, we actually got one not long before the demo release. We felt like it was still better to release the demo than to put things on hold for a couple of weeks to implement everything. And it would also be unfair because that would be getting involve Skeezix having to do a stupid amount of work in a short space of time. He is in the process of finishing up re-recording lines. We will be implementing those for the mega patch probably. All of Kleiner's lines will be Skeezix's. So we'll have our very own Kleiner voice actor. So here we go. Here's the HEV suit, modelled by Andy, of course, based off of that one bit of concept art. Bit of extra style again of our own. The hands graciously used with permission from Max of 2D. We just really liked them, to be honest, and we felt they really worked very well. We are going to be redoing them a bit more though, just because this was back when getting custom assets from mod was really very difficult, and so asking permission for other people to use their stuff was pretty common. Again, a lot of these people are still in the credits. It was just very gracious of them to help us out in these early days and to help us get things sorted. But of course we now have the resources to remake a lot of these things ourselves, so we will be doing that with the hands, and there are a couple of other things that will be remade. I don't think Chapter 1's got pretty much any other standout cases apart from this, besides I guess NPC code, but that is something that is a pain to remake and there's no real point. We'll just be tweaking it, I think, to kind of fit our purposes a little bit better. And of course Stacker's code is pretty good in of itself, so there we go.
Well, Gordon, I see you've slipped into your HEV suit. I've made a few adjustments, but still in all, it should be
suit
the
animations
suit you remember.
by
Let's
Silent.
familiarize you with the
Silent
basic
came on
functions, and we can be
not
on
long
our
before
way.
the demo release. We had a couple of animations we wanted to redo, just because, yeah, we just want to redo them, kind of get slightly more consistent style going. We have two animators, Wild Chi and Silent. Wild Chi did the crowbar, the stun stick, the pistol, and the SMG. Silent did the suit arms, the revolver, and the grenade. Both of them are animating other weapons in the arsenal. You can expect to see more about those going forward in the future updates.
Now, over here you will see a collection of charging mechanisms. We have enabled the HEV suit to draw power from a variety of common combine charging systems using a standard UBC interface. This will allow you to avail yourself of the same devices utilized by the Metro Police and Combine military.
So always look for the Combine label.
At any rate, power up your suit and we'll move on to health practices.
Okay, just gonna let Kleiner do his pokes. I think he pokes you to charge your suit.
Any one of these will power up your suit, Gordon. Just step in close and use the device.
Cool, so the chargers, modelled by Retro Boy, obviously a number of things behind them. The suit charger was based off of obviously Half-Life 2's, but also based off of, we kind of wanted, the colour scheme and with the yellow and the green is based a lot off of the very first suit charger concept for Half-Life 1, where it kind of had that kind of green and yellowy kind of colour scheme. And so we took that and we applied it to this, mostly because we were going to remake the health charger, and we thought, well, what are we going to do with the suit charger design? Retro Boy did a great job of that. Great job adapting all these elements in, and it was really good work by him. Just to answer Velson's question, yes, the materials for the suit charger and the health charger were completely revamped by Shadowrun, our material implementation expert. They've done a number of materials around the mod, and I will draw attention to these when we get the things that he's done materials for in specific. But yeah, let's get on with this then.
Very good. Now, the same
New
interface
animations
is
also
often
by
useful
Shadowrun.
in treating injuries. If you come across a combine automedic
whilst
like
doing
this one,
materials.
you seem to be slightly fatigued.
Someone
Why don't
had
you
a
go ahead
question
and
about
administer
whether or
some
not we
healing
were
agents as well.
expanding the G-Man
Go ahead,
sequence.
Gordon. Try out the automedic.
Yep, we're probably going to use it. We've written a slightly longer script, we just didn't end up using all of them, but we will be using a couple more and expanding that sequence in the future. So now the health charger, obviously based off of the content model. I think that's pretty much what I need to say on that.
That ought to make you feel much better.
Okay, gang, time's a-wasting. I'm gonna need to send out word to Eli so we can smooth the way for Gordon to get out of town.
I told you, Barney. I intend to solicit Dr. Mossman's advice. I doubt she'll approve of sending him into the wilderness as much as I agree he would be safer outside the city.
Just like to say, if your name is Japanese Bush, baby, hello.
So don't tell me how to run my operation.
There you go.
Ordinarily, I would agree. But Gordon is a
I think I just want to address whilst they're both here. Some people have said we should just replace our Barney and our G-Man with Japanese Bush Baby. Japanese Bush Baby, very talented person, I'm sure they do a great job, but I already have two very talented voice actors who already do a great job. I know that this is not going to be the last time it comes up, and unfortunately I know that not everyone who's ever going to ask this question is currently watching this stream or any of the other streams I've actually already answered this question on. I just want to put it here so it's on the record. Again, I am not replacing CW and Entity. They're doing an amazing job. They are great workers, they are great members of the team, and they're good friends as well. We are not going to just... I'm not just going to drop them and replace them with someone else. That is not how mod development works, and that's not how making people on a team environment feel like they're actually a valued member of a team works either. So I just want to make that pretty clear. I apologise if that sounds kind of stern. I've seen that question a dozen times and it's beginning to annoy all of us. So I just want to address that. Get it out of the way now.
Yes.
But we have another small detail we changed. Obviously, it's just that texture, but with our console there instead of green.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, we've got this billboard over here. It's just an oversight, but that's there.
Point to this. I'm running a critical sequence right now.
Well, I think you'll agree this is critical as well. I'm standing here with my old protege, Gordon Freeman.
Are you kidding me? Freeman? What's he doing there?
Well, it's a bit of a mystery, actually.
You're telling me he's in City 17? That's the worst place he could be.
It was a surprise to me as well, I assure you.
Tell her I'll smuggle him out to Eli's place.
I'm just going to wait for the next pause in the narrative sequence to talk about a couple of things going on in this
might not be the
area.
best place for him right now, as my man here points out. It has the advantage of being much more accessible than Kraken.
Accessible? You mean vulnerable? They'll be crawling all over those rocks if the Combine gets wind of him? No, we need to get him down here where it's safe and I can put him to work. Eli's facilities are too primitive to make use of him. They're more suited to mechanics than research scientists. No, just port him over. I'll clear the receiver for the transmission.
But Doc, the last time you tried this...
I've made major strides since then, Barney. Major strides.
I'm telling you, we should be heading for Eli's.
His teleport is still in pieces. You've got no way to get there except on foot.
Sometimes the old ways are the best.
Well, Gordon, since it appears Barney would rather call you a taxi cab than trust us in our area of expertise.
All right, Doc. But I gotta tell you, I got a bad feeling about this.
Okay, so I just want to... Oh, no, the scene's almost done. I'll give it just another minute. They're going to tell me to bugger off into the chamber in a minute. Okay. Yeah, okay, yeah, the door's open, that's fine then. So, I'm just going to talk about these things real quick. So we have Mossman model here, G-Man model, and the console model, all modeled by Mohammed Isam Farouk, our character model on the team. He's also doing, if there's a character model in this mod, it'll probably have been done by Mohammed. Mohammed works extremely hard. He's done great work. And certainly he has going a lot more used to the design that we're going for as he's gone on. He's constantly making tweaks to the model and improving upon them. And he's done a really great work, really great job overall. Going forward, he's going to be essential to getting even more of the characters under control and sorted. Regarding retextures for Mossman, the console, and other characters, we recently took on someone who's going to be...
We can't continue until you're in the teleport chamber, Gordon.
Okay, Kleiner. We have taken on a texture artist who's going to be helping us sort these things out and make the textures look a little bit better. As I explained earlier, a limitation of this is that if we were to create brand new head models, new facial flexes, a whole bunch of extra work, this person's going to be retextured for him to look a lot better overall. Then some mock-ups that were quickly made inside. Not even really mock-ups, just someone who has a little bit better understanding of handling these things than me, because I did all three of them, so you know, that's on me. Anyway, regarding the teleporter, I say we completely revamped its interior. This is probably not the last time we'll be doing this, but we felt that it was really important to do this.
All set, Barney?
For the developer stream. A lot of extra. This is basically just redone from scratch. This interior area
Let's
here.
see. The massless field flux
like
with
it's looking a lot
self-limit, and
better.
I've clamped the manifold parameters to CY
than I did
base
before.
and LG orbifold, the Hilbert inclusive. Barney, there's a little dial with a nameplate under it that says Yokawa. Can you please read me that number?
9973793.37. Are you writing this down?
So the teleporter model was made by Wild Chi, textured by Hisir. Although some parts needed a bit of tweaking, although Hisir had to pop off the team. So that's why it was the way it was with Chapter 1 demo release. I've decided to address it now.
1.
We're not out of the woods yet.
Ah, warming up nicely.
I'll be damned.
Ready anytime, Doctor.
Stage 2. Barney, please throw the switch.
I can't bear to look.
I'm glad you like it, Cvox. Yeah, this took a little while to redo from scratch. As I say, this is probably not the last time we'll be properly revisiting it. Since this was not done in Substance Painter, this bit was actually just done in
Final
Photoshop
sequence.
by hand.
I've got this one.
Yeah, we'll be revisiting it properly another time.
Now.
Maybe for the Mega Patch.
Well, well, I confess I'm a bit surprised that actually worked. I guess Kleiner is farther along than I thought. Welcome to Kraken Base, Dr. Freeman, our home beneath the sea. It's an honor and a pleasure to finally meet you. I've heard so much about your part in the Black Mesa incident. I don't suppose Dr. Kleiner has told you a thing about me. I'm Elena Mossman, Kraken's director. Although we don't use formal titles down here. I'm just another researcher doing my part for the Resistance. Now, let me get you out of there. Wait a minute. What the
There's a
hell?
suit thing back there. I wonder why.
He's back?
Oh, fie. And it was going
That's
so
really
well.
odd.
I'll see if I can hold him.
Elena's voice is from the beta. Quick fire here. Boss Good and Hound Eye both by Andy. Tweaked materials on both after some feedback.
What the hell?
I just lost three.
Which I may have forgotten to put in the changelog list actually.
I wish I knew. I'm encountering unexpected
But we're adding a
interference.
custom line for Elena, correct?
We're looking for a custom voice actress, yeah. Just difficult to find a mature female voice actress, as I'm sure you can all imagine. It's difficult enough to find a female voice actress. We were very lucky to come across Hoseki, who's doing our Alex.
That's the juice. Go
Yeah.
on, stand back. I'm gonna try to break out this window.
No!
Holy crap! Dr. Kleiner! Ah, Doc, you poor sap. Well, we're not gonna do any good hanging around here. Gordon, get out of here. I'll try to tidy things up and get Kleiner to safety. Oh, before you go, Gordon.
This
you need
scene's
this.
probably going to be completely
Left this back
redone.
at Black Mesa. When all this is
I'll
over,
talk
I'll
about
give
that
you
in a
beer
minute.
too. Now hurry, get out of here.
Okay, so the deal with this map. This map was pretty much the last map that didn't have choreography done. Maybe about, I'd say, 6 months before the demo release. Unfortunately, experience of choreographers mod has been a little bit spotty. Some of them have been active, some have been inactive. And the end result was that choreography has kind of seen periods where it's getting done really quickly and periods where it's not getting done super quickly. In the end, because of our difficulty of finding choreographers, I ended up learning how to do it myself. And so, from where you get in, from pretty much where you get in the teleporter, every sequence after that is done by me, and a couple of other sequences scattered about. I got a lot better as I went on, but by the time I got to this sequence, I still wasn't entirely sure how to replicate Half-Life 2's. And given how much I'd already done, I kind of was a bit burnt out, so I thought, okay, well, I kind of whipped something up. I still regret it. I think certainly this could be done a lot better, and I will be doing that for the Mega Patch. It will be more like Half-Life 2's, where you actually get given the crowbar by Barney. As I say, just something I want to improve upon. As well as the new console scenes and stuff with the new voice signs, those will also be done by me. So I'll be handling the choreography in the Mega Patch. It's just this one thing. It's probably my only real regret. I think everything else came out perfectly fine. The way this particular scene is set up is pretty contrived in my opinion. I certainly could do a lot better now. So that's going to be the plan going forwards.
By the way, I have a question. Over the little terminal there's a poster. It's a big poster. Yeah, right there. I can't really read that. And is that a reference to something?
So that is, of course, our Valve News Network reference.
Right, okay.
It isn't really. The story behind this is that on the Valve Cut Content Discord one evening, I was just sitting in a voice chat with Captain Vance over there. He's a great guy. And he just said, you know, it'd be funny if you made the Snowboy decal say Soy Boy. And I went, and that's what I did that evening. So, it's not a Valve News network reference. He played it and immediately went, it was, I'm sorry, we don't think about it that much. It was just a meme that we did, but rather I did one evening at someone else's behest, which now sits in the mod so that my work doesn't go to waste. But yeah. This hallway done by Redonkulus. After we finished Labo 2, we realised we needed quite a nice little loading transition airlock, quote unquote, between Labo 2 and Construction 01, and it was done by Redonkulus, so great work by him.
Kralik, can you clarify to people that Kleiner is still alive?
Kleiner is still alive. Yep, his eyes were still open. When you die, your eyes generally aren't still moving about. If they are, there's probably worse things going on than being dead, because you're probably undead. But that is not the case here. Kleiner is very much alive. He is just staggered. As Barney actually says, he says he's going to get Kleiner to safety. If Kleiner was dead, there would be no point. So that's clarified now. All good. No problem with that at all. The Citadel model, I probably should have mentioned this already. That was concept whipped up by someone internally. His name is Alessandro Emanuele. He whipped up some nice concept art and concept model. I thought it would be nice if we had some version of our Citadel in the demo release. And so Alessandro very, very graciously, very good sport, cleaned up his concept model and we implemented that instead, as you can see. That's pretty nice. It's not, however, the finalized Citadel model. It's sort of a early rendition of what it would be. We more just wanted to actually get a custom Citadel in that was sort of going to be what our final one looks like. And we will have more organic elements. It is based off of the very early organic looking Citadel. I don't know exactly who drew that up. It's the one that's it. It's the one that has that bit of concept art with the Manhack arcade with the star. That's the one that it's based off of. This is just the inorganic bit that's underneath. We imagined the organic bit to be more like chitinous growths that come off of that. We'll see more about that in the future. Maybe for the mega patch. I would really like it to be done by then, but of course the Citadel is going to be a gigantic task for Freeman, who's going to probably be doing that. He modelled the Combine Guard gun, the shotgun. He's doing the emulator, and he did the gravity gun, sorry, the physics manipulator, and the overcharged physics manipulator. Yeah. Okay, moving forward into the garage.
Got a question here from the Cool Cats Productions. So will Kleiner and Barney appear in later chapters, or he be just a one-off? Sorry about that.
That's alright, it's fine.
Biner.
He's not the first person to make that
I love
mistake.
that.
I've also done that mistake many times during development. For Kleiner and Barney, there we go. Yep, they will appear in later chapters. You probably won't see them again until Street Wars, as we said. As in Half-Life 2. You might hear them around the place. You might, for example, get in contact with them around Kraken Base. But you will not actually meet them again until Street Wars. This also here, crowbar model by Green Alexander. Animations, as I said, by Wild Chi.
Speaking of models, there was a question in the chat, and I think we should address it. Will the improved models, textures, or materials be added onto the Gmod ports when they're finalized?
Maybe. The main reason is just that it's a lot of work to just update the add-on with the existing work, and also we'll probably be making more changes going forward, so then it will be a case of, well, when is this the final version that we're not going to touch again? I want to say yes. I don't have any real answer besides that. That at some point this stuff will be updated on the Gary's Mod add-ons. I see a couple of other questions in here. Actually, one other question. The tink sound and the crowbar's hitting sound. This is basically, well, I mean, in Half-Life 2, this is basically how it works, or rather how it was meant to work. It's just meant to be that one dinking, I think, off the top of my head, or at least that's how I understand it. Sloth can talk a bit more about this, I think.
Yes, so in original Half-Life 2, they were supposed to have a hit sound for you hitting the world, units, and missing. But I think they might have not updated the base code for melee weapons, so that feature never got past the beta stage. So I had to fix it up and make it work.
Okay. Alright, so I just want to answer another quick question to Alex about why don't people make models also do the animations. Animating and modeling are two completely different skills. Like, completely different. Like having some understanding of 3D space is reasonable, I suppose, but the difference between animating and 3D modeling is like the difference between drawing and 2D animation. They are very different skills that require very different levels of understanding. The only real difference is the fact that you can theoretically have an animator animate a model they didn't make, whereas someone animating a 2D drawing they didn't draw in the same art style can be a bit dubious at best. But yeah, they're two very different skills. That's not to say there aren't modelers who know how to animate, or there aren't animators who know how to model, but they are very different skills. Some secret joke exists in Portal. We have Easter eggs all throughout the mod. I don't think we're going to have one like overarching one, like the pizza in Black Mesa or the cake thing in Portal, just because I think an overarching joke is kind of like a bit predictable. I think it'd just be better if we made loads of little one-offs that were just fun to explore, because otherwise by the end of the game you'll be going, oh okay, another reference to the, you know, to the spaghetti thing or whatever it is that one in a parallel universe to this one might decide to go with for RTBR's consistent joke. I just want to, that was not a good example because it went right underneath the tile. So the weapon sounds, I didn't actually finish talking about this. Model by Grand Alexander, materials by Shadowrun, animations by Wild Chi, sounds by Sloth. Sounds for the match, again, by Sloth. I'll get him to talk about that in a minute. I'm just going to talk about the other things first because those people aren't here. Shadowrun did the materials for these as well. The model is actually from the old RTB team, although we have improved upon it considerably. But there was a friend of mine way back when RTBR first started who did the initial texture for this pistol from the old RTB team's model. We've since made a lot of changes to the model and to the texture, but it is still the base root model from the old RTB team. So that's another bit of old RTB team legacy that lives on to this day. This is the case for a few other assets, not a whole lot, a couple. So yeah, and there's just one other thing I want to demonstrate because I can get Sloth to talk about both. So when you reload, that was another brilliant example because it just immediately went into that. There we go. So when you reload, magazine gets ejected. This is I'm going to again talk about the sound thing in a minute, but I'll talk about the implementation side. This is piggybacking off of the particle effects system. We basically changed it around a bit, not particle effects, bullet ejection system. We changed it around a bit, modified a few things, increased a few values so that the magazines eject, and so there's a little bit of extra detail. We are looking into making these actual physics objects in the actual world. For now, this is plenty enough nice little detail, and obviously if it's done enough, there is a little bit of smoke that comes out the top. Both are things that I worked on with Sloth. The smoke was actually mostly Sloth. The magazine ejections was something we both worked on. But then the sounds, Sloth, would you like to talk about the pistol sounds and the ejection sounds again?
Sure. So, for the pistol, I went through a lot of philosophies during my time here at RTBR. First, it kind of started out a bit weak. I tried to allow for a lot of dynamic range, but a problem with Source Engine is mixing sounds on top of sounds is not exactly feasible without heavy changes on the sound system itself. So I had to do a compromise by making it a more modern take on what would probably Valve do if they had the resources back then. And I went with a much more a bit harsher sounding Half-Life 2 pistol instead of the very soft one, because I felt it was really weak and it kind of made the pistol not too fancy to use. And I feel like now in RTBR, it's a much more satisfying weapon to use and shoot with help of its new sounds and models and textures.
Indeed. So of course Sloth handled also the SMG, revolver and the grenade. I might again say a couple words about each one, but I imagine that philosophy holds true for all of them. The first aid kit model is obviously a new one that was modelled after the Half-Life beta one, which is basically Half-Life 1's but without the strap. The model was originally done by Wild Chi, It was then originally textured by a guy on a team called Borgia Tarazona. We since improved upon this retexture a bit and made it look like this. This was actually made by a guy called Egon. I'm going to address this question and kill two birds in one stone. Do any of the old RTB devs help you guys about? Yes. Ambient Noise, old development lead of the old RTB team, is actually a co-lead on here and helps us with a lot of things, writing consultation regarding the old team and so on. And Egon, who used to do mapping on the old team and does a lot of things here now regarding some general purpose texture stuff, is also helping us like this medkit. Let's move forwards. There's a lot of secrets coming up, so once we've done this, I will talk about the map a bit and ask and prompt the appropriate people. Okay, so there's another model thing coming up, of course. Stun stick. Sounds done by Sloth. The stun stick was a lot of effort to get working. You would have been surprised. The model was done by Green Alexander and is styled after the old HUD icons. And the materials were done by Shadowrun, animations by Wild Chi. Again, sounds by Sloth. Great work all round. Now talking about the map, this map is actually one of the very first maps that was ever made for RTBR. In fact, I think this was probably the third map. I think the first map being early versions of Arcade, the second map being early versions of Terminal, and this was the third map, I think. Worked on by someone who was on the team right when it first started, and a guy named Action Storm. He left a little while into development to focus on some schoolwork. But his legacy lives on. A lot of this initial area is still his initial work, just massively spruced up and moved around a lot. Since then, a couple of people have worked on this map. Honza has worked a bit on this map, up to, I think, that encounter out there. Honza, would you like to talk about your process from here to there?
I'm gonna be completely honest, I went to get some ice cream. Could you repeat it?
So basically, I was just talking about, obviously you contributed to some of the earlier versions of this map. I'm just wondering if maybe you could talk about some of that.
Oh yeah, I remade some parts of these maps to fit more to the Half-Life 2-ish gameplay. I think the remakes turned out to be pretty good. They were a bit smaller, too. These versions do not longer exist in the mod, and yeah, it is what it is now. I like it still. Pretty good job by the level designers.
Yep, and then Fodder. This was Fodder's main job after he first joined the team, revamping this and Construction 02. I'll probably get him to talk about the construction site in general in Construction 02 because there's one other model thing I have to handle, and then I've been talking for quite some time, and I think it's about time we actually played the damn game. But I'm just going to go back real quick and talk about one more thing. This Combine Light retro modeled this. Materials have not been revamped by Shadowrun yet, so they're still using the materials I whip up. Not that my material work is bad, I don't think, but Shadowrun is definitely a lot more practiced in this than I am. It is obviously based off of the concept art version of the light, of the Combine Light, and the version that was also in some E3 videos. We also remade the normal Combine Light model. I'll probably point it out when we get to it, but it's essentially the same story with that regarding who did it and why, so I won't get too bogged down with that. I'm going to show the first major Easter egg of the mod now, and then we'll talk. And then I have one more thing to talk about regarding the philosophy with that. I just forgot how to do it then. Don't mind me. And then we're just going to play for a bit.
After you show the Easter egg, can I talk about 2 questions?
Sure thing. I'll just show this. Yep. So, obviously, you come all the way up here. I'm showing this here because there's only 50 people watching and 2,500 people downloaded this mod, so I don't imagine this is going to spoil it for too many people. If you don't want to see this secret and what it entails, I haven't actually shown what the secret is yet. So if you don't want to see it, I'd say turn it off for about a minute. I don't know why you wouldn't want to see it necessarily, because it is really cool. But if you are very much about finding all secrets for yourself in a video game, I'm going to give a quick 5-second warning for you to pause the stream and to come back in about 60 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright.
60 seconds. Speedrun it.
Cool. So you
It's
come.
time.
So you come all the way up here.
One,
You pass through here.
3,
That's fine. We don't need a countdown, people.
5,
Don't need a countdown. It's all right. Thank you.
6, 7, 8.
We get into this room and you get the revolver. So you might be wondering. With that jump a bit there. Why do you get the revolver this early? First of all, that's a pretty obscure Easter egg. The reason why I don't have a lot of problems showing this is because pretty much no one is ever going to be able to find that on their own. I think. In fact, I watched a couple of streams and no one found them except if I told them to. If I told them where they were. It took 3 phases of playtesting for one playtester to actually find it. So that is about 5 weeks of testing before one playtester found it. And so I think, generally speaking, it would be difficult to find this on your own. The philosophy of this is we love Serious Sam on the team. A lot of us have actually played Serious Sam together. We really love it. And one thing I particularly love about Serious Sam is the way it kind of rewards exploration through giving power weapons through obscure, hard-to-find secrets like that one. The revolver, that's why there's a little bit of revolver ammo sprinkled about the game. You will be able to sequence break a bit and find weapons you usually wouldn't be able to find throughout the game. Maybe something in every chapter, I'm not 100% sure. For now, this is just basically a prototype of this idea. We feel it enhances the gameplay, again, it encourages people to explore, and those who do explore find that they have a hefty new weapon to use throughout. So let's get on with this. New Super Barry model real quick, actually. Done by WildG, textured by Borgia, then textured by Egon again, and the Hellfire modeled by WildG, textured by Borgia. No, actually textured by me, improved upon significantly by Sapvik. So yeah.
I'll get to those 2 questions after you're done with this section.
Manhack model made by Andy. Styled, of course, after the early textures we had for the Manhack. Okay.
You all good here? Alright. So, we got a question from Fernando Calador. I know it is kinda too soon to be asking that, but do you guys plan on making other mods or full games either inside the Half-Life universe or outside of it?
As people, very probably. As a team, probably not. Not because I can't wait to be done with these people, but because there's a lot of work that goes into organising a team and to making a mod. Making this mod start to finish is going to take enough time on its own. I imagine when we actually finish with all of this, people are mostly going to be wanting to go off onto their own projects again. A lot of us do have our own projects. I contribute to NGP02 and work on a couple of other things. And other members of this team contribute to other teams like NGP02, Dark Interval. In fact, we have a couple of people who help with Dark Interval as well. Shout out to them, great beta mod. Go play them if you like RTBR. Or just play it anyway, even if you don't like RTBR. You know, go play it. It's good. It's a good mod. It's a good beta mod. One of the things that actually got me into cut content, in fact, was Dark Interval. So by all means, go and give them a go. So yeah, I don't want to say no in terms of the sense that I wouldn't like to. I don't know. Maybe things will transpire. I end up working with some of these guys in a professional context. Who knows? On modding basis, it will take long enough to finish this mod. I don't imagine we'll be working on more mods after RTBR. I might end up working on mods before RTBR is done with them as well, and I might end up working with them afterwards in a professional context.
Only time will tell.
There you go.
We got another question from Civoxillary. What is the philosophy with changing map order? As someone might ask, why not keep it like the beta?
I think for the most part it was just the way we chose to arrange things. I don't know if there was a specific mindset behind the specific order everything's in. I think we kind of thought of a couple of key areas we wanted to do and a couple of key things, and then we moved from there and went, okay, well, what would it make sense to kind of tie all these things together with? And I think it ties together well. Obviously, if you've played the beta, then you might be going, oh, this map doesn't go there, and so on. But I feel like it fits together pretty well on an isolated basis. So yeah, I think it fits together. I will just say it's a bit the sprite's a bit bright if you look directly at it, but here we go. If we come to the side, that is the remake of the retail Combine Light model again by Retro Boy. Great job there. This boy is not having a good day.
No.
This apartment complex, one of Fodder's completely new changes to this. Again, I will ask him to talk a bit more about his philosophy with these two maps in general in the next map, which was also pretty much completely by him. As we pass down here a bit, we just continue on. There is a ladder here. People don't seem to be able to spot this. You can stack props. You can also just use that ladder, climb into here, and then this door unlocks once you're actually on the other side, in order to prevent people from getting stuck in progression. So let's move on.
Nice.
For the record, Omi is working on something regarding that hanging guy. You might see it in the mega patch. You probably won't see it in the mini patch, but you probably will see it in the mega patch. We'll see. Okay.
Good work, Omi.
Brilliant stuff. So whilst
dead people.
Brilliant. So whilst I go through this initial area, Fodder, would you like to talk about Construction 1 and 02 a bit?
Construction 1 and 02 were quite about right. It was the first thing I was given my assignment to. And especially the first area of Construction 1 had to be done entirely over because it was off. So yeah.
Thanks to me.
I don't blame Hansa, I blame the guy who worked first for it. Because I never knew him, but the stories go, he wasn't the best. And I had to redo everything. So I did. But I kept the same layout, which I did on all the maps I worked on. So it's not entirely my way I wanted to handle it, but I can live with it. Okay. I've improved a lot on the map.
Yep. Okay. And I guess we'll see some more of that in this stream we haven't already seen. New pistol box model by Green Alexander. A lot of the ammo pickups have been redone by Alexander. A lot of materials done by Shadowrun. So if you see them, that was those two. Alexander wanted to do a bunch of general purpose props to really practice his skills. I gave him a list of 10 and he whipped them up really well. Some are being used in chapter 1, some of them are for later chapters, but he did a great job in all of them nonetheless. Yep, okay. Moving on from this area here. New supply crate model also by Green Alexander. There we go. Moving on. Some revolver ammo over here. Good place to show. Reload animation done by Silent. One of the loveliest reload animations I've ever seen for anything ever. I'm not exaggerating. Like, this gun feels so good in RTBR. It's up there with my favourite revolvers in games now. It's not it's not tooting my own horn at all, because I barely did anything for this revolver to work. It's the people on my team who made this revolver just incredible. I really, really love it. The smoke that comes off the barrel, the sounds are awesome. The reload is amazing, and it looks brilliant too, thanks to Shadowrun's work and the modelling work of a guy on the team, a guy who used to be on the team named, what was it? That's it, Daniel Sutton. Overall, this revolver, I love it to bits. I'm just going to show the reload again because it is that lovely. Look at that. No fooling about. Very nice. The extractor pin as well.
Fucking nice as.
Brilliant, brilliant work all round for sure. So the SMG modelled again by oh, actually no, not Daniel. This one was by another guy called Jared, who was on the team quite a long time ago. Obviously kind of meant to be a mix of a real life SMG and sort of the beta one with the slightly blockier proportions. And then the reflex sight was adapted by him from a model that I made for a different model for the MP7 that we had previously. So yeah. Otherwise, materials done by Shadowrun again. That's why that metal strip in the middle really has a lovely metallic sheen to it. As you can see, the light bouncing off that is lovely. And sounds again by Sloth. This one also has magazine ejections against some slightly better lighting, just in case you want to see. There it is. And the animations by Wild Chi. Yeah.
Very nice. What's that HUD icon?
Oh, the HUD icon, yes. Just a tick after I finished murdering a few Metrocops. So the HUD icons for all the weapons done by Freeman, again the guy who modelled the shotgun, guard gun, and a couple of other things, and he's doing the really complicated esoteric weapons in the mod. Yeah, he did the HUD icons as well. That's where we got those. They operate off the sprite system, they're not fonts. The only problem with this, obviously we've got the beta HUD as well, which is something you don't really think about when you until you think about it. That was done by Milky Way whilst he was on the team. Really great work by him. Thanks again to him. Yep, moving on then.
He also did the force fields, as I recall.
Yes, he did. He did the orange force fields. Another detail. So I guess what I mean, there's a lot of small details that we have considered and that we've done that are just kind of things you wouldn't really notice unless you really paid attention to them. To the point where even someone like me, who has an almost encyclopedic knowledge about all the stuff that's gone on in here, obviously, because it's my team and I take pride in what we've done, because this is an incredible team. We've done a really great job, I think. Obviously, like, you know, sometimes details like that slip over my head just because they are small, but we've still done them and they look great, and people who know what they're based off of, like those orange force fields, will have an even better time with the mod, hopefully, and it will really help the atmosphere. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. Got a couple questions here, alright?
Sure, go for it.
Doge, great name, asks, if children are implemented, will you later encounter them in other locations instead of just the cremator factory?
I think it's unlikely at this time for them to be in anything other than the cremator factory, just because they only really have animations for the cremator factory, and I'd rather not, and that is going to be a very difficult job for any character animator. So for right now, just the cremator factory. That's not a no, but that's probably not, because the resources will be a bit intensive. Any other questions?
Yeah, Jason Campbell. In your opinion, what was the funniest part of this chapter to work on and finally finish? I'm not sure if it was all funny.
Yeah, it's maybe. Do you mean funnest perhaps? The most fun? I'd say most fun
Yeah.
for me. I'll ask everyone here actually, because everyone here is going to this. I'll ask everybody. I'll open this up to everybody to just like have a quick word on. For me, definitely the most fun part about what I did was, probably, I really like the soldiers. Rigging them was a lot easier than I expected it to be. They still need some improvements, don't get me wrong. The rigging's not perfect on them, but the rigging is pretty good, and they were easier to rig than I thought they'd be. They look brilliant. Getting them in game was incredibly satisfying, and to actually see we had our own soldiers was incredible. And yeah, so. But I could say that about most things I work on. Andy does an incredible job with his creatures. Implementing anything Andy does is an absolute joy, just because of how good they look in game as a general rule. And see, what do you think? Do you have a particular standout thing?
Fun. I mean, voicing Barney is fun. I love it. I love, you know, delivering those lines. Say another thing that's fun. I mean, you know, if it wasn't fun, why would I be doing it, right? But I think another thing that's fun is, you know, just watching the mod grow. But really, it's mostly just voicing the Barney. Barney. Barney, yes.
Barney.
Right. Yeah, that's really it.
Yep. Ambient, any standout moments yourself? Actually, I think he's at work. Yeah, right.
He said he will be on soon.
He'll be able to talk in about 20 minutes.
5
no worries.
minutes.
So he is here. He's just he can't talk right now. No worries. Catronics, any standouts for you?
I would say testing the experimental patches during playtesting was pretty fun. Yeah.
Cool. What do you think, CW?
Well, I definitely think the funnest thing for me would be the G-Man stuff, but as more recently doing a little bit of sound design, especially for like the Metro Cops radio on and off sounds. It was a fairly simple edit, but it was fun to make, and the outcome was very nice.
Very satisfying for sure to hear them.
Yeah.
It's always satisfying when something simple works really great. So I guess Flash, not a gigantic sample size of stuff for you right now.
Well, I mean, I do the console voice, and that voice in itself is extremely fun to do. His accent is a joy to perform, and I think it's a very nice role. But going back to the original question of funny things, I think from what I've seen so far, the funniest thing is when you were live streaming working on the billboard to replace the teleporter, and you accidentally deleted. You did the Eli, the Captain Vance face, and then you accidentally deleted it, and had to start from scratch.
Yeah, that was certainly fun. Fodder,
Right.
any standout for you, Fodder?
Well, being on Discord with you guys and making the more inappropriate memes was pretty fun.
Hell yeah.
Oh, unforgivable.
Yeah, we have a brilliant team environment. A lot of us are in this voice chat every day, just talking, chilling out, playing games, working as well, supporting each other, making funny memes. Some of us making memes that they say are funny and not really that funny after all. But you know, gotta give them some credit where it's due. At least they tried.
It's just the late night giggles.
The late night giggles, of course.
He's not speaking from any personal experience, mind you.
Of course not. What do you think, Game Boy?
I mean, when I was first brought onto this team, it was regarding the ModDB page, and I say that was probably the funnest I've ever had, like making it give the beta look. Either that, I enjoyed making the trailer. Like, whoa, that was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing more of that in the future for future release chapters. Graphic design work, just doing storytelling with, like, you know, graphics around the city. I look forward to showing off what I make in the future.
Yeah. What do you think, Honza?
I would say it's this part of the map, because I somehow got it kind of right on the pacing and stuff with the man.
Oh, and the man hacks, yeah, the man hacks.
Yeah, through the vents.
I should have demonstrated that, but you can actually see it. You can see it in some other streams actually, and in fact, in the trailer you can see it. Game Boy recorded that really well. If you come in this room after triggering the manhacks and close this door, they pathfind via a lot of work by Honza into this vent, and they break that vent and they fly in and they tear you to pieces. And very nice little gameplay gimmick that has always been a nice thing. When I remember to do it instead of just blasting the manhacks, it's always fun, very satisfying to watch them just pop up.
Yeah,
They were shown in the trailer as well.
Yes, yes, it was.
Also, one more thing. It's always fun to play the latest dev build when it drops.
I guess to see what's gone added in it.
Yeah, so I played through it, and it's really good every time. 10 out of 10.
Because internally, during development, we do a dev build every week where we basically collate all the latest changes from around the team that week into one build for everybody. So yeah. Omi, you've actually done a couple of things so far. What would you say is the thing you've worked on so far, or the thing that you've seen of the team which was giving you the most fun?
Whoever just cleared your throat, you better hold yourself, young man. But also,
Right.
But also, so far I have worked on the particles. I have worked on a set of particles that would work for the teleporter sequence. If you guys felt that was a little bit bare, we're probably gonna work on implementing that later. But I do have a bunch of particles I've set up for that. I'm also working on new stuff for all of our weapons. I won't go into detail, but it's something you guys should look forward to. That would be better and not as visually intrusive as the giant muzzle flashes some of you guys have said we had right now.
Obviously, we replaced those for the demo release after the trailer with Half-Life 2s, which are a lot better sized. But Omi, who is actually proper in the know about implementing these particle effects, will be able to do a better job than I did previously, because I think it was me who did those. So, no worries. Omi can do a better job than I can about particles, that's why he's here. Far better job. Sloth, what do you think, mate? What would you say is a standout for you?
So I'm gonna do both. I'm gonna do both the fun and the funniest. So the fun thing for me is actually getting some more complicated stuff working. Like we spent a lot of time getting the shell ejections and the magazine drops to work. It was fun trying to get them work and then design new things for them. And stuff like the crowbar as an example. The funniest thing for doing this entire thing is shooting the shit with you guys. It's fun to always have some bands, some jokes, playing games, just have a good time.
Yeah, for sure. Stabard, any standouts for you from playtesting perhaps or anything?
Yeah, so I usually had a lot of fun like whenever I interacted with the team, and also just overall like playtesting through the mod. I enjoyed seeing like the new changes, and like I just overall enjoyed playing the mod as well.
Cool. So that was a bit of an extended section. Oh, there's a helicopter there. But no worries. So if are there any quick questions we can zip through that weren't already answered by my people in the chat?
There's a very quick one here. We don't have to go into heaps of detail on this. By Doge. What is your favorite weapon from the beta?
Guard gun. 100%. One weapon, people. No deliberation. Go. Too much deliberation.
Right, yes, the revolver. No. Okay, hold on. The gravity gun. The dark gravity gun is...
Okay, cool. Ambient. Wait, he's at work. Cotronics.
I'm gonna have to be one of those people and say the OICW.
Yeah, no, I love it too. CW?
OICW, sorry.
There we go. It's in his name. Flash.
I'd have to say the revolver because it's my only experience so far, but I'm sure that'll change as this game progresses.
Not in this one, in the beta in general, my man.
Yeah, in the beta. That's my point. This is the only experience I've had of the beta. I'll play Dark Interval
fair enough
eventually.
then, mate. No worries.
Yeah.
Fodder?
Steam Rebarb gun.
There we go. Game Boy? Game Boy?
Game Boy.
Oh, sorry. I forgot to push the dock. Hotwire and the brick bat.
Fair play. Honza?
AK-47.
It's actually an AKM, you cheeky bum, but no worries. Alright, Omi, what do you think?
Half-wire grenade.
Good stuff, mate. Sloth?
HMG. I like heavy weapons.
Heavy weapons guy. And Stabbard?
Probably brickbait.
There we go.
Good choice.
There's the quick answers. Okay. How will the super fizz gun work? It's very similarly to Half-Life 2. To be honest, we're probably not going to screw about with that too much. It'll just look very different.
Don't you mean the Psy gun?
Of course. I just want to talk a little bit about this map. We'll quick and bring it back to being a bit more serious. This map went through a lot of iterations. Console Plaza 1 and 02. I suppose it's kind of unsurprising. There was a lot needed to really make this map work. The earlier iterations weren't really doing it. After a lot of tinkering, Fodder comes on and he made this in 02 and they visually stand out brilliantly. Scorny then came along and decided to completely upend the gameplay and put in the helicopter, which turns out to be a brilliant decision. One you might not have expected, but a brilliant one nonetheless. These are actually vent models made by Satvik. We were experimenting with using modular vent props you could enter. Don't feel they work as well as integral props as they do as just detail props. We'll see going forwards. That console cast model made by Heesir when he was still on the team. Obviously using a default green speech for now, but we will be rejigging that later. Got some signs that we've made. Yep.
Well done, easy, probably.
Alright, I'm here.
Hello, Ambi. Ambi's back with us now.
Him.
Back from the dead.
There we go. Ambi, 2 quick fire questions for you then, since everyone else answered. What's your favourite weapon from the beta?
Oh, I mean, I like a lot of the beta weapons, I'm not gonna lie. I think probably my favorite is, probably the OICW. I think it's the most iconic one out of the whole fleet. So.
That's fair enough. And what do you think was the most fun thing you've done in the team so far?
I mean, it's been really fun and cool seeing how, you know, the old team's concepts have sort of been evolving over time because, you know, I was there when we originally got the ideas of how these maps were going to be fitting together and all that type of thing. And then, you know, that sort of fell apart, but then you guys showed up and were like, hey, we're going to restart it. And I was like, cool. And, you know, at the time I was, you know, I wasn't expecting much because it's very easy to come in and say, hey, we're going to make another beta mod, because there's a lot of people that make beta mods. And very few that get actually seeing this, you know, get to the point it has. It's been very gratifying, very just great to be a part of.
Very good to hear. I think I should probably leave off by just saying, but I think probably if I really had to say something else, I'm firing the MP7 in a burst mode, short control bursts. We'll talk about the game balance real quick. The SMG fires slower, is more accurate, does more damage per shot, and has less ammo. This is deliberate because then when you get the MP5K later in another chapter, where you don't have the MP7, you will have a good time. Because they will both feel very different and they will be good for very different things. So yeah. I'd say if I'd say something else, probably the most rewarding thing about this is the team. Don't get me wrong, there have been ups and downs all over the place because of course there always are with any team environment, but certainly I've made some great friends here. We've done some great work and it is a joy to work on this team with talented people. We would have never gone this far without the talented people we have here now. But we're all gearing up already to just get right back into the thick of it after making a release is just testament to the kinds of people I have on this team. They're talented, they're funny sometimes, they're and sometimes they try to be. They're very smart, they're very well aware of things. Honestly, it's just such a privilege to be leading this team. I've led a number of teams in my life on a variety of different projects, whether that be, you know, professional or hobbyist contexts, you know, in a workplace or elsewhere. This is not my first management job of any kind, but by far the one I've enjoyed the most. Has had the best people, and time finds out has had the most resilient, the strongest, and the most persistent people I've ever met. We don't shy away from struggle here. We pull together, we get that shit done. So I say, you know, it's an incredible honour to be leading this team. That people, and that I'm going to have these amazing people with me as we go forwards. Yeah, it's also really incredible. This mod wouldn't be here without these people. They've done hard work. They've worked their asses off. We all have them to thank. More than me, more than anything else, we have to thank the amazing people who have worked on this mod since its inception. So, honestly, great work all around by everybody here.
Yeah. Can everybody in the chat, if they could go to their emoji section and find the flushed face, and just start putting that in the chat, be greatly appropriate.
By all means. Here we go. Did you set any internal deadlines for the team? Making sure you have a specific model ready on time. In terms of deadlines, this is a hobbyist project. I don't hold people to them too strongly. We have a weekly deadline, quote unquote, where I like to have level designers to submit a VMF of their progress that week. This is pretty much the only real deadline on the team. And I'm always accepting of exceptions and stuff if people can't make it. I don't think there's ever really been too many circumstances where where people haven't met a deadline to a point it's been a problem, and if there has been, we've usually been able to sort it out, figure out what's causing them issues, and get them resolved. Or if it's an issue that's out of their hands, then just, you know, to be aware of it. Obviously, people have personal things that go on outside of this, and part of being a team leader is not just going, okay, I expect progress all the time, schnell. Part of it is, you know, accepting that people might have things that are going on that are out of their control, you know, personal issues and stuff, and being here to support them in an emotional way as well as in a developmental way, you know, to give my best to them as a person as well as a leader, is very important. So regarding the grenade real quick, of course, new sounds and stuff, it's going to be very, I don't think I'm going to be able to spot it, but the pin does actually eject as a shell ejection as well, so there's a magazine ejection, quote unquote. There's no way I'm going to be able to spot it, it's very small. You might say, why did you bother to add the detail? Because someone will eventually notice it. It might take years, but someone will eventually notice it and go, huh, cool. And that will have been worth it. So yeah.
And another thing is that you can actually hear it drop.
I mean, there you go. So that little ding ding sound is not the sound of, is not a sound that's built into the animation. It's actually the sound of the pin hitting the floor. So that's also something very satisfying to just know.
Like 12 years down the line, there's going to be a video that says 12 things you didn't know about RTBR. That's going to be like 10 or 9.
Number 12. Grenade 10.
Alright, enough. Right away.
Number 5.
Okay,
Dark
so
15. Welcome to Raising the Bar.
Okay, so basically, trying to desperately bring things back on track.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, the model was made of the grenade by Hisir. Great work on that. It is obviously, you know, an MK3A2. The animation by Silent, who did a great job on that, and of course the sounds by Sloth as ever. Seavox asks, what was the biggest fail or waste of time or something? This is a difficult question. Of course, part of my job is to make sure, especially on a hobbyist team, not a professional team where there's money involved, so I mean, obviously we don't have the time really, or the budget or anything to just do something to the hell of it and see if it works. If it's a small thing, we can do that. If it's a big thing, like testing out a new enemy, having to scrap stuff like that really sucks in the context of mod development. And so it's a difficult question to answer. There is the occasional thing that we've had to make that call with. I'd say scrapping the first version and then second version of Console Plaza. and then also scrapping train station. I'd say this because we haven't really had to scrap or change any of the models in a way that lost us a lot of dev time. But Console Plaza 01 and Console Plaza 01, or rather just Console Plaza, because it used to just be one map. The original versions probably took about 13 months in total to make both. And at that point, having to scrap both was scrapping a year's worth of work, not just by some of the level designers, but by me, because I'd worked a fair amount on both maps as well. When we didn't have as many level designers, and it was very much, and it wasn't as organized as we have now, and it was just kind of people work on the maps. I also did a lot of work to those, and having to make that call to go, you know, it probably is for the best that we scrap them. It was absolutely worth it now. Of course, playing Console Plaza 01 and 02, I can absolutely see it was the right thing to do. Fodder's done God's work with this map, but that is probably the most difficult thing that I had to do when it came to scrapping things. Those maps took a long time in those iterations, and them having to be scrapped effectively meant the loss of a lot of development time. But obviously being aware of what led to those things that have to be scrapped, what mistakes were made in development, and kind of design around these things, that's equally as important. Knowing how we can avoid making that mistake in the future is very important. I'm pretty confident we won't be making that mistake again, just because of the fact that we have things planned out a lot better now, and we're running things a lot differently. But of course, yeah, there are mistakes that have been made, as with anything. The important thing is just to know what can we do to avoid them going forwards. It's important to say that actually I don't think having to do those was so much a waste of time or a failure, because we still learned a lot about, we still kind of refined things a lot as a result. Like, in having to scrap those maps, we kind of figured out where we want to go in future to avoid having to scrap them again. And of course, the end result of scrapping them was the current versions, which are brilliant. So, yeah. You know, it's not really... It's more of a loss of time, but it's not a waste, per se, in the grand scheme of things. We, strictly speaking, gained off the back of it in terms of just having a better idea of where to go next, as opposed to anything else. So, looking at it from that perspective, always an important thing to keep in mind. Think about what you can gain out of a loss, rather than, you know, what is being lost, I guess.
Yeah, it's happened a few times.
Just gotta stay in the right mindset. There's usually a silver lining somewhere to be found.
Yeah. There's certainly been other things which have caused problems. I don't really like talking about them, because I don't really feel like I so I'd say really any more stuff like replacing some things that, you know, were just let's say not fit for purpose anymore. But besides that, I still think, along with all of that, the biggest shame was having to drop Console Plaza in its earliest forms. It's a shame that we weren't able to get that first time, but now we have got them, so, as I say, there's more gain than loss. I just want to say, the arcade looks brilliant. That was a lot of work by Scorley and Fodder to really bring this up to scratch. Fodder did a lot of this, and then Scorley decided to implement these things, which of course are iconic and look brilliant. And so it was great work by him too. Just trying to look at this real quick. The emplacement gun is actually our GR9 model that we have. Without the scope and without the bipod, this was a pretty late change actually. Something that Tronics suggested. Firing sound by his slot again. You will at some point get the GR9 for yourself.
So, T-Box is wondering about whether the linen on the front of the Manhack arcade, if that's going to be changed at any point.
The Lenny.
The poster.
I don't know. I quite like it, and I think Scorley really likes it, and I think it was a great change. So I don't know if it'll be going anywhere. I think the most we might do is maybe remake it to be in higher resolution. That's probably the most we'd do. Otherwise, I think I think it works quite well, and we like it quite a lot. This is a little mini boss encounter we have here. There was something different planned. I'm not going to talk about it. Yeah, you might see some more about that in the future, so keep an eye peeled. And one last thing, this bit here, obviously based on that concept art of the arcade, I think it looks brilliant. Great work by Fodder. This was Fodder's work. Brilliant, great job. Looks amazing. So yeah.
There's a question here by Velsian. I still don't know how we pronounce that. They are what are the biggest changes you've made to models/maps?
I'm gonna need to ask for an addendum to that question because I don't really know how to answer that in that current form. It's very. I don't know if you mean like Half-Life 2 models, or what do I think are the biggest changes, or what are the biggest changes we've changed in development. If you just want to elaborate upon that, that'd be great. Just having a look at some others right now. Do you have any plans of ending a particle storm, maybe as a map entity, not as an actual entity? Do you plan on remodeling the airboat gun? Yes, when we remodel the airboat, the gun obviously will have to be remodeled. What is it? Remodel those old cars? Probably. I think I'd like to. Some of the really old, really crap beta assets will probably get remodeled. I think for the most part Half-Life 2's assets hold up pretty well. But there's a couple from the beta that really don't. There's new arcade machine models up there. I'll talk about that in a minute. New barrel models. Something I've got to keep in mind is the fact at which, what do we do if, I mean, what do we do regarding models? Do we remake every single model in Half-Life 2? Generally speaking, I'd say no. The models that we're remaking are basically the ones that are used throughout the entire game and are like a big focus. So I mean stuff like the ammo kits, or one-time props, like for example the Manhack Arcade, the Citadel, and some other things. These are not particularly resource intensive. If we remake every single model, this model will end up being about 20 gigabytes, and that's not the objective. So we might end up remaking a couple of super common props, just so everything fits together a little bit more. But I think right now remaking key props is probably more the objective. Velson saying, what I mean is how you've changed weapon models over time in the mod. So when we first started, it was basically the Half-Life 2 beta weapon models with some spruce ups. If you look at the very earliest screenshots of the old mod of RTBR, you can absolutely see that in the very early ones.
Green.
Very green. The green guns phase, which is not really a thing anymore. And then what we did after that was I sourced models from royalty-free sites. So this was before we had the possibility of having weapon modelers ourselves when the mod was still quite small. But that was when I had the initial idea of I really want to like revamp the combat system in this mod. I want the combat to feel a lot better. I love Half-Life 2 as a game, but the gun combat is the thing that stops me from replaying it all the way through sometimes. I can play Half-Life 1 all the way through. I think Half-Life 1's still got brilliant gun combat. I really don't know how they dropped the ball so hard in Half-Life 2, but it's just not satisfying at all for me. I don't really feel like it would have been satisfying for me at the time either, because again, Half-Life from 1998 feels brilliant. I've never had any problems with it, and I love it to pieces.
Fanboy.
So, the intent with this mod was always basically going to be I want to spruce things up a bit. So with them using some royalty-free models for some weapons. These obviously weren't entirely fit for purpose, but they're pretty much the best we could do, considering the fact that I wanted better models, but I also didn't have the resources at the time to actually just take on, you know, a weapons modeler. That's obviously something that comes with time. Now that we have that capability to find weapons modelers to model new weapons and stuff, that is something that we are doing, and so that's why the SMG, the pistol, the revolver, a couple of things are actually just our own model now. There's actually, I think there's only one model now, there's only one weapon model which is a royalty-free model from like a site, and that's the MP5K, which we are high priority to replace. There's a couple like the Steambow, which are actually made by someone else again with commission. Sage J Fox made the Steambow. Soydev made the flare gun, and we are planning to, of course, remake those as well, so they're just entirely our own. Again, these are things that had to wait until we had the resources available. When we were a smaller mod, those resources weren't available. They are now, so we will be prioritizing that going forwards. Playable man hacks was never really planned. I think some people really like playable man hacks. I've never really liked playable man hacks. They're not really. I've never really found them fun to play when they have been in mods. I know some people really love them, and to those people, absolutely no problem. I get it. But with Manhack Arcade already being a combat map, I feel like this already does it. And the Manhack Arcade machines, which by the way, modelled by Sapvik, brilliant work. I feel like those are probably plenty fine enough. There's not going to be a new game plus feature, Jason. It's not really very saucy and source mod like, source mod like, and I feel like it will also be very difficult to make it work. We're going to use for the flare gun when we remake it the red handle. Where possible, we want to go for the oldest versions of things. The only or a mix. But we're probably going to go for the red-handled version. This idea is also why we're calling the Borealis for Hyperborea. I know I keep calling it the Borealis, just it's a force of habit because Borealis is so much more common a name. But yeah.
It's Borealis. You're a Borealis.
Okay, I might show another Easter egg here real quick, because it'll be nice. As I say, there are loads of secrets, but I'm not actually, as I say, I'm not doing all the secrets in this one. I want to encourage people to search, but there are dozens of secrets. Sorry, I don't know why there was such a delay on that. I think I was reading the YouTube comments. There are dozens of secrets in this mod. I know the earlier chapters don't really encourage you to explore as much because they are very much just go here, go there, have a nice look at things. We are hopefully going to be rectifying that to some extent. During the Mega Pass, for example, there's revolver ammo there. That's not the only bit of hidden revolver ammo. And since you've watched the stream, you now know why there is a revolver ammo hidden around the place. But yeah. Cool, so if you heard that little bell noise, that means we're just going to go back here real quick. I think this is a secret Hansa did.
Yes, I did it, basing it off on one... Yeah.
Alright,
just wait down.
Hang on.
Oh no. Oh no, what's under the...
Oh no!
I have a soda machine.
Okay.
Dr. Freeman!
The trumpet is from the Half-Life Alpha. For the record, this is not the only bit of Half-Life 1 content we are currently in the process of implementing. Some very exciting stuff. I'm not going to talk about any of it, but we are all very excited for it. You will see. Hansa, would you like to talk about this room?
I based it off a certain video by Viralex. Because I thought it was really funny. It made fun of certain things in the mod. So, and this particular area, this lobby thing behind you, Kralik, it was in the video. Yeah, this one was in the video, and behind one of those doors was this particular arrangement of these vending machines. So I recreated it and put it as a little Easter egg.
Yep. So it's basically just a little shout out to a nice little fun meme that someone made. Yeah. Regarding these, obviously we changed Dr. Breen's to the consoles. In case someone's wondering why there's no apostrophe in the original either. So we also changed Pepsi to Propsy, and I added a 17-up instead of 7-up because it was fun. People ask, why did you change them? Is that because you want to sell it commercially? No, I just thought it'd be a funny meme, alright? Okay, if it's not funny, I get it, but, you know, I thought it would be funny. That's fine. These are great. We'll be remaking these at some point, as I say, to be consistent with the other cold drinks machine. Any questions in the chat? I'm not seeing any. Oh, which chapter moment from beta do you look forward to bringing to life? Honestly, the one that I actually loved seeing the most on a design level so far, and one of my favourites from the beta, is definitely just a Manhack Arcade. I think it looks incredible. You know, this is one of the first mods I started. Honza did a lot more of this map than I ever could at the time, and since then Redux has also done a lot of work with this map. So there's been a lot of hard work by those two for sure. Brilliant work by both. But I really love how it all looks. I really love the arcade. I really love how it's been turned into a combat map. To play in, to be honest. Again, Control's poster, like very much. You can tell it's his because there's no dent in his head. I don't know why Breen has a dent in his head in Half-Life 2, but he does. Anyway, brilliant work. That's why I really love this particular map. In terms of ones I'm still looking most forward to doing, I think it's a good question actually. There's a lot of them. I really like Air Exchange, but I feel like it's an obvious one. So I think I'm going to say something and actually go with Spire. The way we're going to be interpreting Spire is going to have to be very, very original, because there's not a whole lot that is known about Spire besides that it was maybe an early version of Weather Control, but I want to do a separate version of Weather Control for the Arctic chapter. If we really manage to get Spire going, we may or may not, because it's one of those things that is kind of like a stretch goal for me. But if we manage to really do something cool with the idea of Spire, something that is like has the namesake from the beta, but is entirely our own invention, because of how little we know about it, and it works really well and it's really cool, then I think that will be brilliant. And so that's probably the thing I'm most looking forward to actually seeing in the future. I say most looking forward. I'm looking forward to pretty much everything we see. Again, I really love these levels. I think they're great. I think they, as a beta fanboy, they really fulfill a lot of things. Obviously, I've had a part in a fair amount of these levels to some extent, but a lot of the really heavy lifting has been done by my level designers, and seeing what they've done with the source material has been incredible. So I'd say, you know, going forward, it'd be great. Cvox, we have. What do you think, boys? Would now be a good time to talk about this? I mean, I was meant to release this information a couple of weeks ago, so we could just could mention it in passing.
Exclusive review.
Yeah.
So,
might as well.
So I will
exclusive content.
Exclusive content. I will say to the 35 people watching this, so to the 20 people who we've dropped since the start of the stream, rip you. We have been in exclusive. Well, I've been in exclusive one-on-one talks with Travis Brady regarding T-Bot. We have collated probably more T-Bot information than was ever known at any point before we spoke to them. In fact, I am going to say we, because members of my team helped me a lot with this. Also, some of the graffiti is replaced. Oh, that's another one. We did replace this one, of course. I won't detract. Sorry. We have some exclusive information from Travis. Again, probably more information about T-Bot than has ever been known about him. Thanks to directly talking with him, we're going to be putting that to work in our own implementation of T-Bot. I would like to talk about it in more depth, depending on the length of this stream when we get to the end. I might talk about it a bit for anybody who's interested. Alternatively, we will be releasing it through Vitoy over at Project Beta. I was actually just talking to him about it the other day after the Project Beta stream. So watch that space if you want to see more T-Bot information than has ever been known ever before. That has been a lot of hard work by me and my team. And also, of course, very, very nice response by Travis. And as I say, we will be putting this to absolute full capacity. We absolutely have the resources to make, at least I want to say, probably the most on-point T-Bot recreation with all the information that we've learned that has been done to date. It's going to be incredibly exciting. So, yeah, watch this space. Let's get going with this now.
Remind me, is this still going to be called T-Bot?
Yeah, we're still going to call him T-Bot. Yeah, I think he's still T-Bot in the script. Yeah, no, he's still T-Bot in the script. We still want to call him T-Bot. He's in Hoseki's lines as T-Bot, I think. Take this on Google Drive, I guess, after this if you fancy. But yeah, Hoseki being our Alex voice actress, he's recorded the lines for Alex's part in her first appearance when that is. I'm not going to say exactly when that's going to be. I might have already said that before, but you know, I like to leave some things in the hidden. Okay. Again, this whole bit, very brilliant work by Honza. He did an awesome job with majority of his map. Majority of his map is thanks to him and his incredible work. So well done.
That was the first ever map I worked on in this mod. It was fun.
Yeah, I'm glad. What was that? Oh, was that the G-Man? Oh yes, it was.
Wait, who? Wait, can you go back? Can you go back and see who that was?
Nah, man, he's gone. I think
It
he,
was a battle.
No, go back.
He was just vibing, man. Just vibing.
Who? Don't think there was anyone there.
Yeah, no, I'm not so sure actually. I think
Might have been Major Fracture.
must have been the
For
wind.
sure.
I was about to say that, darn it.
Good lord.
Yeah, it might have been a major fracture.
Yeah.
But was he detected?
I'm not
I detected him. I don't know about you.
There you go.
Shit. Oh
Brilliant
shit.
stuff. Okay. So here I am, just enjoying my day. Oh, hello. So here I am, just enjoying my day. Pretty good day. Right. There we go. I really like this sequence as well. Another sequence that was done by our boy Honza. Brilliant work again.
It might work with having a red light or something above that moving door there.
Yeah, something maybe for the main boss.
That's the door that's been affected. Yeah.
Like a rotating alarm door.
Yeah. Regarding the wavy lines, Seavox, you're right. That's a slight oversight, I guess. Some orange things are vertical, some of them are horizontal. That's something that we made a lot more consistent in a lot of maps during the playtest. But that thing is used so frequently. I guess it's just sometimes it slips through the gaps. Regarding the refract, maybe do more stuff. I'm not sure. Slaport, more horror kind of places. Very possibly. Ravenholm obviously will be quite big for this, being Zombie Town basically. We might see some more kind of like more quiet atmospheric sections throughout. I imagine there's a particular set of caves which might be interesting for atmospheric reasons, boys. But other than that, yeah, I'd say just yeah, you'd like to do a little bit more. The beta was, of course, dark and grim and green. Wait, did I just turn myself around? I did. Yeah, the beta, of course, was grim and dark and green. So we will make sure that it is all those things.
Especially green.
Especially
I like green.
Very green,
Can we
boys.
get both green and orange?
No.
It needs to be grorange.
I will just talk about these. I will just talk about the head crabs a bit. They're always a bit of an elephant in the room when you first see them. Considering how much they were kind of the focus for a while, I'm surprised that people are still surprised when they see the head crabs, as if they're brand new. But these were modelled by Andy a while ago. Andy's intent was to basically make them look more like crabs, actual crabs. So they had that kind of horseshoe, I think it is, horseshoe kind of crab look to them, while still looking obviously like head crabs. This being essentially an alternate universe, I'm entirely fine with having very different looking head crabs. I think they look quite nice, and all of them are consistent. The zombies will be remodeled at some point as well, just obviously modelling a zombie is not a quick task. So, you know, they'll include at some point.
Yeah.
Gabe Newell, hi, thanks for attending the stream. Great work on Artifact. There will not be a drivable APC. I'd like to say a drivable jet ski. There might be some kind of digger that's still in that's still in the works. We're still thinking about how we're going to approach that. I think an actual digger vehicle for one section is a little bit of a bad use of resources, but in terms of actually just having something like that, we have thought of some ways that we can sort of do that, which without requiring a stupid amount of development resources for about 5 minutes. So, regarding this map was probably the 4th map ever started in the history of a mod. This map was actually based a lot off of an old VMF by the old RTB team. And this was something I worked on a lot. And then, what was it? And then CFT did a lot with this map. And then other people have since done a lot. This has been another one of those maps, a bit like Terminal, where so many people have worked on this, that it's kind of hard to say exactly who did what. I think these underground bits are still very much CFT's mark, although again they've been tweaked considerably by a lot of people. The bit after this, the actual tunnel, especially, lots and lots and lots of tweaking and modifying and work by loads of people to tweak loads of things. I'm going to do this one. I'm not going to do the coffee cup one. I'm just going to say if you shoot all the coffee cups in this map, you get another secret. I'm going to leave it up to you guys to figure that out. You're right, mate.
Anybody want some coffee?
Anybody want some coffee?
No one will figure it out.
Yeah, well, someone might now that I've told them, but there is something. You should, for reference, the coffee cups start in this bit just after here. You don't have to find any others apart from after this bit here. Give it a go. If you do find it, let me know. It'd be cool.
Some are hitting outside vision. Just saying.
Yep, I'm just gonna grab this secret here.
One other interesting thing about the beginning of this map, if I can speak about the lore of the mod for a moment, since, you know, writing and all that.
Sure thing.
When we first envisioned the underground in the team, with the original team, we wanted to make it different in that it wasn't just going to be a reskin of the leak maps, it was going to be playing towards the idea that City 17 was a multi-stage city. It wasn't all built at once, and it isn't just a repurposed standard city. And so what you're seeing in the beginning part with the sunken buildings and whatnot is the remnants of the part of the city that was there before the Combine took over and sort of built up on top of it.
Yep, that's our fast head crab, also modeled by Andy. Also very horrifying. This is not something fun. This is not something you want to find in your bed one evening. Let's be honest. Normal head crab, you could do worse. That thing, no. I still have nightmares about that crab. To be honest.
There's nothing to be nervous about.
Crab people.
Crab
She's
people.
completely debeaked and harmless. The worst she can do is attempt to coupling with your head.
Is this saying humping me?
Is this thing humping me?
Get it up! Get it up!
Did you hear a humper just now? Yeah, that fast head crab is really disgusting. Good job.
The poison head crab also pretty off-putting. The normal head crab is not that bad to look at. The fast head crab, oh my god, not pleasant. The poison head crab looks like a giant tarantula. So honestly, you could go either way. It looks like a crab and a tarantula. And for some people, that is the worst thing ever. So for those people,
Scariest shit I've ever seen.
I pity you for those people. I've seen a question here. Are you going to use a combination of citizen face maps from multiple developer states? We're actually using for all the citizens some revamped old citizen face maps. Regarding other face maps, yeah, I mean, they're probably going to stay as they are right now. There might be a few others that see a little bit more tweaking though down the line. Who knows?
Ew.
Obviously, some characters like Samuel, who we are going to implement during the Wasteland, and Captain Vance actually used face maps that eventually became just retail citizens. The Captain Vance, because his face is so iconic of itself, we've actually removed the ability for any other citizen to be the Vance face map. So he will be the only one with that face. For Samuel, we think we can probably rejig him enough to look unique, and maybe just make him the only citizen in the Wasteland that looks like him. And I think I'll probably rectify that. We'd prefer not to lock off two like male variants for the purposes of 2 characters. One of them major, granted, which is why we did it with him, but Samuel is going to be a minor character, so we don't want to put too much into that. And limit us elsewhere.
Yes and window.
I actually tried to shoot those on my first playthrough.
So it turns out if you walk against these fences you get shocked. That was a little change suggested by, I think it was Floppy Thins. This puzzle was a little bit inspecific at first. You were actually able to leap across this puddle without dealing with the vorticell. There also wasn't a whole lot of telegraphing. If you walk in here, you take a lot of damage right away. If you don't have any suit battery, then it kills you in I think 4 hits. So yeah. These basically only damage you for 1, and they're right there, so you can telegraph that right away pretty well. This vorticell was probably the most annoying thing I worked on in this map for playtesting. Oh my god. I've had nightmares about this vorticell not working. The jamming mechanic was incredibly temperamental. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. There is a vorticell in front of there, inside of there I should say. We are going to actually remodel the whole mechanism, or rather probably just the storage mechanism at the bottom and actually model it. But at some point down the line, RTBR logo, there you go, there's a couple of those hidden throughout chapter 1. It's based just for lambda spray, but RTBR. Okay.
Lovely animations.
Very lovely animations. Boom. Very lovely. We are going to be making a showcase video at some point that's actually going to include all of the animations, because there's this guy on YouTube that apparently does them and he's apparently annoying. So I'm gonna we'll do it first, and then you can expect to see that on the official RTBR channel. I don't know, within like a week or 2. Obviously not a super high priority versus actually patching stuff, but if someone or if I get like a spare hour or so just to like record everything, make it all look nice, stitch it all together, and then upload it, then oh god.
Oh, what do you see on the floor there?
It's almost it's like a stack of coffee cups. Those might be important.
It's really small.
My god.
So that little
Like
orange
biggest
valve that we found earlier, when you put it in that particular room, that particular little socket, this door opens. Coming in here. It's hazard course. Boom. This was something done by CFT. It's a really, really brilliant Easter egg. I'd like to do a full hazard course at some point, like the actual whole of Hazard 01, and to implement that as like a quote-unquote training course for the game as like an optional little nifty little secret thing. The only thing is that because it has absolutely no bearing on the actual game itself, I've got to be aware of the fact that this is like that it's going to be something that basically I'll be doing if I don't have anything else to be doing and if all my level designers are happily working away. If that's the case and I somehow don't have models to rig, bugs to fix, or textures to modify, then I might be working on that. There's no guarantee there. It would be cool to work on it though. So yeah, overall this might get expanded, it might not be, but this Easter egg will likely remain going forwards.
Cool.
Okay, Maslin, we might stream for a little bit afterwards. It's getting on a bit. We've been streaming for almost 3 hours now. But we'll see. We might talk about a couple of things, and just broadly we can talk about where we're going to go going forwards. Whoa! Oh, I was lucky. Imagine if I died right here.
Major fracture? Oh my god, dude.
Major fracture detected.
Who is he?
Morphine administered.
He's always beating up Gordon's legs.
Which enemy from a beta would you consider the scariest or the most disturbing Doge? I would say the old Stalker.
Citadel.
the old Stalker's pretty obvious. If I had to pick a second one, I would say the Zombie Assassin, because that guy gets proper effed up when he gets zombified. Poor guy. So yeah, we are, of course, if you've looked at our updates and if you've been keeping up to date, we are of course doing a Zombie Assassin. He will feature in Ravenholm. He will basically be a Go Gnome. So, yep. Okay. It's pretty much in the mod, so I guess let's walk forwards. But I'm gonna sit in silence for a minute whilst we just look at the credits. Watch them roll on by.
All right.
So it was chapter 1.
That's me.
When this is all done, I'm gonna mate.
I haven't added Omi to this yet. I'm terribly sorry. Underneath where Silent is, imagine there's an Omi and also an Egon. Wait, Egon's in the X bit because he used to be... I need... Okay. I haven't fixed these since the last one. This needs 2 more names added to the current RTVR team bit.
Damn, I can't believe they don't be crediting me like that. I'm gonna call Kralik out there.
You might want to add for one of the X devs as well.
Alex is
the old
missing his
sound
X.
guy.
The old sound guy.
Yeah, Cardian.
None of his sounds are being used anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean for X RTBR team members.
We'll sort that later.
Yeah, we'll sort it out.
Yeah.
We'll sort it out later. Okay, so I mean,
Anyway.
quite handy that it comes back to this. I'm just going to say this is a piece of artwork drawn up by our landscape concept artist. This is not a paint over. This is actually just a painting done by our landscape concept artist of our menu. I just want to explain a quick idea that we're going to do going forwards with our menus. So we are going to have a menu background map for each chapter. It's not necessarily going to be related to the content of that chapter. It's just going to be a piece of concept art for a landscape. It's going to be cool. We're going to remake it. And then our landscape concept artist is going to paint out that, is going to paint it, and then that will be the thing that then loads into that map when you load up the game. So, yep, when you load up, it displays this, and then it fades into the menu background. You will get this in the mini patch. So yeah, and that will be a thing going forwards. It's pretty cool. It's a concept art of a remake of a concept art, basically. But I think it looks really cool. There's been a really positive response on the team, and hopefully you guys will like it as well. So that was RTBR Chapter 1. Obviously we went into detail about a lot of things. If anybody has any questions, please ask now.
Yep.
We'll have a couple minutes purely for answering any questions that people didn't feel
I'm
was
gonna
answered
ask.
during the streams.
If somebody doesn't come up with any questions, they can later on come to our public server and ask there.
Absolutely, I think it's in the description. Yes, it is. The Discord is in the description, as is the ModDB, our general YouTube channel, where of course you can comment just in the community tab, the Twitter, and our SoundCloud, which has some new tracks on it. So if you want to talk about anything and you haven't gotten it answered here, or you think of anything, don't forget to go to one of those. If you have played the mod and you like the mod, please leave a review on ModDB. It really helps. Give us some feedback, give us your thoughts. It really helps to see people's views, and of course it helps the mod because more reviews means it pops up a little bit more in people's feeds, and further up the up the charts, rankings, whatever. So the more people that review it, more people will see it, basically. So please,
it's good.
Make sure you do that. If you do enjoy it, even if you don't, just do some feedback as to why. There will be more things added to the chapter as the mod develops by Doge. Yes, there's a couple of things that, again, weren't quite ready. There's a couple of things that weren't quite ready for this one and would have taken a while to resolve. Some of them are, and some people saw me doing this the other day in here, but some of them are beginning to get there. Some and will probably be in the mega patch. There are of course the little small fixes that we've already made And as I say, you saw all that in here, where you saw a bunch of fixes, improvements we've already made to make things work and smooth along a lot nicer. So there will of course be improvements going forwards, changes, additions to chapter 1. We plan to do a mini patch in about 2 weeks, a huge patch probably in the vein of about 5 to 6 months, and then chapter 2 ETA eventually. No dates. Here we go. Going down here, Cvox, your updates usually contain open team roles. You're still looking for people. I'd say if you feel like you are pretty good at level design and can map at the current standard that we've displayed here, send me a message, ship it along. We can almost always use more level designers. More level designers means more eyes to pass over things, to refine things, to make them look a bit better. Oh me, shush. I know, it's fine, shush. But eventually, I promise. Yeah, more level designers.
These things that take time.
If you're confident in your abilities, please message me again. More level design is always a good thing. I'm just thinking, there was something I might have wanted the other day. I actually need more weapons modelers right now. Unfortunately, the guy who did the revolver and the Annabelle was working on the Annabelle, which we're still implementing because it takes some time. He had to pop off. He was furloughed because of this whole corona thing. So he is predictably pretty busy sorting that all out. So we actually don't have a weapons modeler right now, and as I say, we still have a couple of things we want to whip up. So if any of you guys feel confident in that as well, just let me know. Of course, it would be helpful to be able to do it in PBR, just because we're pretty good, thanks to Shadowrun, at implementing PBR materials and making them look almost as good as PBR models. Thinking off the back of that, I don't really think there's anything else off the top of my head. I think we've got everything else covered on the team right now.
Is coder a necessary open position, or?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of programming that obviously needs doing, and it's not fair to shove all of it on One Up, who is our programmer on the team, and Blix, who is mostly here to help us with map-based integration, and he's very busy on his own terms. So if you are a coder with a competent understanding of C++ and such, and working in Source, that is also that would also be really good to help us implement some of the more complicated things. I think those 3 things are pretty much it. All things considered.
We also still have the position open for Gabe Newell and Mark Laidlaw to come here and fund the game and write story.
Absolutely.
The positions are still open.
Of course. So if you are either Gabe Newell or Mark Laidlaw, then please let me know.
We need a professional leaker as well.
Axel Gimb. If Axel Gimb is here, do that.
That'd be helpful as well. Give us TF2 invasion so we can make raising the fortress.
What about things. Elena voice actor?
Yes, well, I'll mention it. I don't expect this to go anywhere in here. But if you are a mature American woman, roughly in your early to late 30s, Hello. First of all, and second of all, we need someone like that for Elena Mossman. So we'll see. There's a couple more questions I'm going to answer now. We have references to other mods. Probably only other beta mods, if any references at all. I don't really see it happening too much, but if we do, we might sneak one into to Dark Interval. It'll be interesting if Cvox can find that. And Shift and stuff. We might also sneak one into some other beta mods that I actually really appreciate and really enjoyed, like Cremation, the Air Exchange mod, and Missing Information, maybe. Can we see NPCs that are in testing? Nope. You'll see them when you see them.
Let's try.
Please tell me, Arthur, when I've built in ENB and all such things, post-processing. I don't know what you mean by ENB. I'm afraid, Cvox, but regarding post-processing, we're not really looking to screw about with shaders. I find that mods that screw about with shaders tend to only get known for the shaders instead of the thing that they're actually doing that might be really cool outside of that. And so the stuff that comes with map-based, like Parallax collected cube maps, the Fong brushes maybe, but we won't be screwing about with loads of other things.
There is a question here by Valsian. Will some citizen characters important to the story or environments get a custom texture or face map? This is also referring to the citizen that is called by Metro Police in the plaza.
Yeah, minor characters will probably just use the normal face maps. We might modify the face maps, but it won't have custom heads. The modified face maps would maybe just be adding some other slight facial details to maybe make them look a little bit different. But we won't be doing more than that. To those, Seavox, yeah, okay, yeah, that's what I mean. We aren't going to be screwing about with shaders. You know.
I don't think we're allowed to redistribute those things. So
yeah, if people want to use reshade and stuff, which can obviously work without our intervention, and can actually just work on its own, then people are more than welcome. But officially, we are not going to be using any kind of shaders like that. If G-Man can canonically change timelines, does it mean the beta could technically be canon? I guess.
Of course.
There we go. G-Man be like, you know, let me just
I
change
can
this
change the timeline with the click of my fingers.
Okay. That is, of course, CW, the G-Man voice actor, in case you couldn't tell.
You can nudge things around.
Yes, I require to nudge things in a particular direction from time to time.
Brilliant. Always great chills whenever he starts talking. So, does anyone else have any questions? Because if not, I'm going to talk a little bit about...
I have a question.
You don't count.
Yes.
Come on. Alright, Hansa, let's hear your question.
I'm not really familiar with the beta stuff. Are there any other, like, beta mods that I can play? Other than DI and this?
I mean, you could try Missing Information, Cremation, Build 2046 is interesting. Deschwarge Nebel is also interesting. I think it's playable. It's an interesting one. You know, I'm not saying they're good. I'm not trying not to let my opinion come through here. There's also Project Beta has a whole bunch of collections of things. So I mean, for example, we've got there's the Air Exchange mod, which works off the beta. There's all of Vitoy's brilliant era mods. The fact that they work at all in the Leak engine is honestly incredible. So if you want some true beta, that's practically the unadulterated, unchanged beta, and is just made to work through technical mastery, go and play some of Vitoy's era packs because they are fantastic. And they nail the beta aesthetic really well for those particular eras. Playing those is like a really good research thing as well, just to understand how each era looks, because again, Vitoy is like crazy good, brilliant stuff by him on those packs. And the other thing is that he's really good about with those packs is he's actually completely okay with people using the content from them in mods, provided you credit him, of course, which is always really positive when people make their content open source like that. So, you know, again, basically Vitoy is really cool and you should go do that. And of course, you know, Dark Interval's always worth a play. Really looking forward to seeing what they do with Wasteland. It looks really exciting so far, to be honest. So yeah.
I understand. Thank you, Kralik.
No problem. Does anybody else have some questions? Felson saying, aren't those two mods the same? What? Oh, I think I was about Build 2046 and Dash Wars Neville. I don't know. I
think they're the same sort of deal.
Maybe. Yeah, probably. Is Kralik secretly
Champ.
desync? Not every British man is desync, as it turns out. So, no.
What?
I know, crazy.
What's up, everybody? Deke here. Today we're going to start with an accelerated back hop on the surface right
so
here.
we're just going to start with an accelerated back hop. And this is a little trick known as
Joe Nuts.
That's what they call a pro gamer move.
More of a mod includes Vienna sausages. It's starting to get a tiny bit memey, but that's fine.
Bog.
Maybe.
We could include a reference to it, maybe not the actual scene.
It would probably be. You know what might be fun? Graffiti of a Vienna sausage. on a wall somewhere.
Or a shop. Or a shop.
Or a shop. Or a shop.
So-
Vienna sausages. The
Yes.
shop.
Yeah.
That would be fun. That would be nice. But specifically referencing these things isn't something I like to do, because I feel like if we'd had someone running through the free TVs map saying "Get your free TVs," someone would have strangled me. So because I think everyone's just about done hearing that. So yeah, next.
Get your free TVs.
Apparently there was a question if we'll be moving to Source 2. No. Next question.
Yuck.
That's pretty
Thank
much
you.
it. That's all. No. I think I don't see any other questions here. So I'm just gonna give it like 10 more seconds in case anyone's typing, and it's just taking them a very long time.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can we what is it called? Can you back hop in this game? It's called accelerated back hop.
It's
So you can call it.
It's SDK 2013, so you should be able to.
You can do that, right?
I think
You
so.
can, yeah. I tried it.
Yeah, I think so.
Where's the fake Combine assassins?
Thick assassins later on. Right, so, okay, what we're gonna do next. So obviously there's been a lot of feedback in response to the mod. Some of it good, some of it not so good. Some of it really dire, really dire feedback, and some of it really positive feedback. So where we go from here is we collate the feedback that's useful, and we use that to basically go forwards and develop. We're going to make changes based off of the feedback, and we're also going to go back and just refine chapter 1 with some of the brought. So for example, we're going to fix specific issues, but then there's also people who in my team who apparently have forgotten the rule about push to talk. So we've got other feedback, like for example the thing of what is it? Some people believe a lot of the maps just need a general art pass. That's something we'll handle more generally. And there's other things like that we'll do, like scripted sequences, so on. We'll also be implementing some models that weren't quite ready, like maybe the new Metrocop models if they're done, which of course takes a while. Child workers, some other things that are in the
Yes,
pipeline.
we need child slavery, Crawler.
Some other things that are in the pipeline. And as I say, we plan to do this really big patch in a couple of months. And that'll be a good patch, I think. After that, we'll be working on chapter 2. You'll see a very similar, probably release kind of wave with chapter 2. We are gonna be changing things internally. I'm going to just shift over a little bit to Duweb Guy's question. We are going to be changing a little bit how level design works. We thought about it internally and thought about how maybe we can do things differently a little bit going forwards, and what we can do to kind of make the design, the release of chapter 2 a little bit smoother. As I say, obviously broadly speaking, people really like chapter 1. You know, almost 3/4 of the reviews fall in the 7 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 range, and 62% fall in the 8 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 range. So the majority of people really like it, but we could, of course, do a little bit better. So we could ship a more refined release, and so we've decided to change things up a little bit internally. I'm not going to go into too much detail, it's quite complicated, and I also don't think that the inner workings of this team are really something I like to talk about outside of the team. I don't really feel like it's important and to really understanding the mod at all. But yeah. But of course, you know, the main priority right now is just refining what we have. As Sevox says, you know, we're very proud about it, but there is always work to do. Modding is never done, pretty much. Modding is never done. It's only ever good enough. is the way I like to think about it. But we are certainly happy with what we've done so far. It's just about tightening that up going forwards, and tightening up what we've already done, and doing even better, hopefully, in the future. We intend to finish this thing 100%. We are going to finish this thing. I think I have really a lot of faith in this quantity. In this quantity. It's okay. In this team.
Congregation.
I have in this congregation. I have a lot of faith in this team. We will push forward. We will use your feedback and we'll refine what we've done. So, yeah. I think at that I'm going to bring an end to this stream now. So thank you everyone for watching. You can expect to hear more from us in the coming weeks about where we're going next. This is not the only stream that we're going to be doing. We might do another we might not do a quote-unquote laid-back stream, because this stream was pretty bloody laid-back in the end. But I want to do some more live streaming stuff like this. I think people like it. I might put a thing on the Twitter so that we kind of have more stuff like talking to people. Yeah, you can expect to see more going forwards. I'd say expect no formal updates for a while, besides the 2 weeks thing. Also, thank you, Jed Duanis. Thank you. Expect the small patch in about 2 weeks. After that, don't expect a big update for a while. We just shipped a massive thing, but once we've patched chapter 1, you can expect those kind of quarterly updates to kind of wind back up again, and you'll see things on Twitter and on the Discord anyway. And of course, contact us on Twitter, YouTube, Discord, and you will have your question answered. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Take it easy. Keep yourselves well. And we'll see you maybe in the next stream. Alright, boy.
Like and subscribe. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Love y'all.
Bye-bye.
That was so
Goodbye.
Until
I
next
think I might have figured out.
Maybe I'll get you that beer.
Here we go. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you. From the bottom of